The pain I felt is paid for, all is said and done. Oh, I am restricted, fixed upon the web. I need to kick the habit that my mind is breathing in. Wait, God, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I've made it innocent, a feeling discontent. I'm only facing it all. Burning the bridge that keeps us. I'm here and I'm feeling fearless. Exaggerated, that's what you assume. The story's over now, I must conclude. I am conflicted, watching where I step still. Hanging in the balance, not the life I want to live. I want to take it all, standing tall. Fear outweighed the persecute.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to week one of Prime Meta League. Tonight, we are kicking off the season with an electrifying night of matchups you won't want to miss. First up, at 7 p.m., we have High Alert taking on Five Fangs. Then at 8 p.m., it's the Forge Rail Riders versus Fu Fam. And finally, to close out the night at 9 p.m., we've got the Rift Walkers clashing with Nautilus. As everyone knows, there's $1,000 on the line, so the stakes are high. And the action starts early with our pregame show, Meta Shift, going live at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, so you won't want to miss a single second. Here's what we got lined up for the Meta Shift show. First, we're going to go over some game predictions. Who's taking the W and why, and we'll break it down to get your hype level soaring. And then next, we got the meta breakdown. We're diving into the top champions for each role and what picks might dominate tonight's draft. And then following that, we have the ban watch. The most frustrating champs getting banned across PML and solo queue. So we'll spotlight the ones you love to hate. And then lastly, we're going to go over the jungle spotlight, which is Kayn the king of the jungle? The scrim data says yes, and we'll explore why he might be the secret weapon in tonight's matches. So grab your snacks, smash the like button, and settle in. Week one starts now. Let's get into it.
All right, we're on. Hello, everybody. Welcome to day one of Prime Meta League. As a part of the pre-show for tonight's games, this is Meta Shift, hosted by myself, Kevin Dunk. We also have Kazi Baker and the Okromancer, and we're going to be giving everyone a sneak peek of the games, the players to watch out for, and the power picks we expect to see in the league. Starting off, I'll pass it over to my colleagues to share what they want to see in the games tonight in terms of roles, power picks, and the matchups we really want to focus on.
For sure. So I think I'll go ahead and start us off. I think what we're really looking to is what's going to happen in the jungle, because we've seen, at least throughout scrims, which haven't involved every team, but have involved a reasonable amount of teams, that Kayn is like a really, really high priority pick right now. And it's really warping the way that teams are picking around him, and also potentially really changing what teams are picking into him. Oker, do you have any thoughts about like what you think you would want to see not only around Kayn but potentially into Kayn, depending on who decides to prioritize the pick?
Yeah, so Kane's an interesting pick because he is really very polarizing. Like the champion, it has such troughs and spikes in its power that it's really obvious how you want to play around the champion as a teammate and play into it as an enemy. Like you defend him while he's in gray form and go hard when he's gotten the red form. That's how you play Kayn. So I expect to see into Kayn a lot of aggressive junglers, your Lee Sins, your Xin Zhaos, as well as complementary aggressive mid lanes. Kiana's been highly buffed, very strong in the early 2v2, could see that. Champions like Silas, those really early level 4, powerful level 4 champions are really good into Kayn because he's Kayn. He doesn't do anything until he hits his form.
Yeah, of course. And like knowing how bot lane centric a lot of the game is and how support centric a lot of the team play through Grubs and Dragon is, like, do you think that there's any like really aggressive bot lanes we could see picked for Kayn in order to kind of facilitate his weak early game to just try and get that permanent prio bot lane?
Well, if you're talking about the bot lane picks with Kane, I don't think the ADC pick is so much relevant because it's the ADC. I mean, Yunara,
It
Ezreal,
does what it does, you know?
yeah,
Like,
but the support pick is going to be very relevant. Like Kane is not a champion that you want to play with enchanters. You are overcommitting to the healing bit, and you will just get shut down. But with aggressive early game supports, you got your Blitzcrank, Leona, Alistar, the tank lineup. Those characters go really well with Kane. Support him in those early fights where he's really behind, and help keep the opposing jungler out of his jungle.
yeah, for sure.
Right, right. Yeah. Speaking of supports, one of the big things that we've been seeing is kind of a dichotomy of the enchanter supports, things like the Lulu, the Karma, Seraphine, Nami, and then comparing that to the engaged supports. I think Nautilus is one of the most highly contested picks we've seen in scrims, just for that point and click CC. How do you think the meta of the bot lane is going to affect the Prime Meta League in terms of the power picks down in the bot lane?
Well, like looking at these two teams, right? Rando Kanto, who's the support for Five Fangs, and then Tyke, who's the support for High Alert. They're both really heavy on playing
So
these
we can see your
engaged
PMs.
supports, right? Really looking at like Nautilus, Pantheon, Volibear, or not Volibear, excuse me, Nautilus, Pantheon, Rakan among both these players' main pools of characters, and so like it's really easy for this bot lane to evolve into like a really really hard engaged Prio Fest, which ironically kind of leaves Kane naked if both bot lanes are kind of playing at these low HPs, taking these consistent, really heavy trades, trying to like really bully each other out of lane.
Right.
Yeah, I expect when we see that dichotomy between the heavy enchanter picks and the heavy engage picks, it really comes into like rock paper scissors lanes, which means we might see that bot lane gets pushed lower in the priority on terms of when you pick the champions in terms of the pick ban cycle, because if you're planning on playing an enchanter support, picking it early can lead you to just getting crushed by Rel or Alistar with an aggressive ADC.
You know, all
So
these players really like their Nautilus. Like,
Yes, Nautilus.
Super high prio, it seems, in the pick ban.
I do want to point out that Yunara has shown to be very, very powerful and very easy to play on a technical level. So I do expect to see that show up and possibly affect what we're seeing. And she does do very well with both engage and enchanter supports.
It's also just a really easy blind pick, right? And I think that's something you're going to see. I think what we're going to see a lot in these pick ban phases is we're going to see a lot of priority given early to ADC and top lane because you want to try and get your blind pick and your power picks in. And then you're going to see support and mid kind of be the counter pick, kind of in those later counter pick slots.
I do want to be clear here. If any teams or coaches are listening, if you pick your top laner before the last pick round, you are making a mistake. I'm sorry. that lane's counter matchups are so unbelievably brutal that you have to leave it. I think we're going to see a lot of like early jungle and ADC picks, especially because Yunara is such a power pick right now. At that ridiculous win rate, the champion is just a little overtuned. So I expect to see that be highly contested, along with we've been seeing a lot of Varus, if I recall correctly, as well as the occasional Yasuo pickup from Five Fang.
Yeah, the Yasuo bot lane with Gogeta's Yasuo, that one's kind of nice. That's a fun one.
That's a super fun pocket pick. Speaking about counter pick in the top lane, why don't we jump over there and talk about some of the most seen and contested champions for top lane? Some of the biggest things that we've seen is a permaban against Five Fangs' Gwen. So that's Majora playing that, and also some of the more solo queue picks we've been seeing a lot is Renekton and Garen. So in this kind of top lane matchup, in terms of how important the counter pick is, where do we see the top lane meta going for PML?
All right, so as the top lane guy, I'll take the lead here. The Renekton pick is every single top laner that is intending to play in a league needs to learn Renekton. If you're going to play in organized play, you need to learn the champion. It is fundamental. So,
but you just told us we can't R1 Renekton blind like we do in scrims all the time. It's my favorite. It's so fun.
Stop R1 picking anything in top lane.
R1 Renekton till I die.
every match, one team is going to have to blind pick their top laner, and when that happens, your best option is Renekton 90% of the time. The champion's just versatile and retains a flat plateau of power throughout the entire game. He's good at 5 minutes. He's good at 15. He's good at 35.
Yeah, that power in the early game, right? And like kind of it falls off a little bit by the mid and late game for the Renekton. He's kind of the be all pick all for that blind pick. And we've seen a lot of counter matchups in terms of the Garen, but we've also seen the threat of the Gwen. So in terms of the kind of top lane, let's say rock paper scissors, where do you see that going, Okromancer?
Well, Gwen is interesting because Gwen is one of those champions that warps your team comp around picking her. If you're going to pick Gwen, you have to have picked earlier. You want to pick her late, and you have to have coordinated your earlier picks around her. Because as a squishy, high damage DPS champion in the top lane, you have to find another source for frontline and CC from your jungler and your support. So you have to make intelligent picks around it, which can also telegraph the pick. Unfortunately, it's not a bad lane pick, and there aren't a lot of hard counter matchups for Gwen. So a lot of the time, we do just see teams ban it out rather than have to deal with it. Just because the champion is really powerful when enabled and can't really be held down in lane like other champions of that type, like your Camille's can.
And it is one of those characters that we might find bannable, right? Especially seeing as Majora specifically plays a lot of it. And also, we've seen that Five Fangs is extremely willing to play through Majora and play strong side there. And just
top side,
entire game through top side, right? Like just completely ignoring bot side, only caring about Dragon once you get to the third one and you've already broken your lane phase. And like just letting Majora like basically solo the game with 4 other supports around them.
Yeah, and that's certainly a route you can go down, and Gwen really incentivizes that type of team building. So if you're playing into a team who's already inclined to play that type of game, and you have this power pick that incentivizes that type of game, most teams are just going to ban it, and that's totally fair. So do I expect to see a lot of Gwen played? No. Do I expect to see a lot of Gwen banned? Absolutely.
It's fair enough. If you can't deal with it, you might as well ban it. And I guess for the last kind of topic in terms of where we're seeing the power pick champions, let's talk about the mid lane. What are we seeing kind of in scrims in the solo queue data about some of the contested picks, and what do you expect to be continue to be contested as this league goes on? One of the big talking points that us casters were sharing earlier is the threat of Azir. We have a few Azir mains in the Prime Meta League who's kind of known to be that a Swiss Army knife champion, right? Has the engage, has the damage, has the escape, right? So hard to deal with once you hit a couple of those item power spikes. What do we expect to pick maybe into the Azir, or maybe a way for this Azir to get through pick ban?
So the mid lane meta in this league is so Azir centric because not only do we see so many of these Azir picks, but this league is in love with control mages. We don't just see Azir. We see 2011 Azir in the Orianna picks. We see like shitty Azir for people who can't actually play Azir all the time. We see Azir who scales even harder in ASOL. Like this, the league is super heavily weighted towards these control mage scaling mid lane picks, and the Ahri, which we have seen a lot, but I think mostly as a sop to like, I know I'm going to get outskilled in mid. Let's just pick Ahri and play safe.
No, right? Yeah, I kind of see that, right? And we've seen, and because of like the skewed mid lane, we've seen like a lot of Azir bans, and especially seeing as at least so far, and you got to remember our data on High Alert is relatively short right now, especially considering we haven't seen them play a lot. But we do know that Tilt Lord is very capable of playing Azir. And we haven't seen too much from Breadwater. Hopefully they either have a plan for it or just have something that they can play around it. I know we've seen a lot of like Orianna or even Zed trying to be picked in these scrims to try and contest it. And
right. Don't contest it. Don't contest the Azir with Zed. That's not a good lane matchup, guys.
No. But you get to click so many buttons, right? And Azir only clicks the mouse button, so you're kind of winning because you get to cast more skills.
There are like two real ways I see that you can beat Azir in lane if that's your goal in the team pick your pick composition, and those two answers are you have to pick champions that outrange him. Xerath is a notoriously terrible matchup for Azir because you literally can't do anything about him queuing you every 3 seconds. Or you pick a bruiser and then you make him completely miserable. Like there is not Galio,
Not Galio.
Set, Garen.
Oh God.
Yeah, those are interesting counter picks. I mean, the bruiser works.
This was really popular a year or two ago, where you would see we used to see a lot of ADCs mid, so we saw an evolution of people would pick Nasus mid, and then into the Nasus mid, you'd see people pick Garen and Set. But then people continue to pick Garen and Set because it turns out that if your opponent picks a control mage or an assassin, they can't do anything. So I just want to point out that option is there, but I do think we'll mostly see people try to outrange it, or the assassin option, which is not a good choice. Do not pick assassins into Zed. He dominates the laning phase and is very difficult to actually kill in the later game.
Yeah, especially since we have so much priority on these control mages. It feels like whoever's facing into the Azir, right, opposing the Azir, is going to have to be creative in how they out pressure in the early and mid game before Azir hits those power spikes. And it's also considering that since most of the players against the Azir are control mage players, it's going to be really hard to kind of find that opening before you get outscaled. So it's going to be a lot up to the execution of the early mid game and probably syncing up with your jungler, which we've kind of highlighted is another point of contention for all those champions and all of those great players in our league. So moving forward, maybe we can talk about the great players in our league for our upcoming matches. Why don't we share our thoughts about the highlighted matchups for each of the matches today? So first, in the Five Fangs versus High Alert game, Kazi and Okromancer, what are we feeling is kind of the place to be looking at?
I think the top lane match was going to matter a lot. Again, what we've really seen in scrims from Five Fangs is that they really, really want to play through Majora. And High Alert, we haven't seen almost anything from. So if Five Fangs goes to their default and they're what they seem to be comfortable doing, we're going to see a lot of topside action. And it's going to be on Oso and Less Force to really try and stymie that and potentially even turn it around. I mean, we don't really know what we're going to get from High Alert, but we can almost guarantee that there's going to be a strong focus on trying to get Majora ahead when it comes to Five Fangs.
Right.
When it comes to Five Fangs, the player that I am always watching in every game that they play is Gogeta, because they have the ability to come back from ridiculous down spots, and every single time it happens is because that man pulls off a ridiculous team fight. They play their games through Majora, but Gogeta is how they win the hard games. So you cannot look away from him.
Right.
Yeah. From a weak side bot laner who only team fights. We've seen that for like 10 years. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that's a big point, is that we've seen many times, especially in the scrim data that we've observed so far, is that Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta goes down a little bit in the early game, maybe has some, unfortunate fights, but in the late game, he always manages to pump out a good amount of damage and keep it equalized for his team and never be that far behind in terms of resources. So, yeah, it'll be fun to see how Frog Guy from the opposing team will
High
have
Alert
to
matchup.
High Alert's gonna have to be on High Alert, as Frog Guy's gonna have to shut him out, shut out Gogeta before he really turns Super Saiyan, right? So why don't we move on to the next match of the day? That's gonna be Forge Whale Riders against Fu Fam. So why don't we start with Kazi first? What are we seeing in terms of the team compositions? Who should we look out for as a viewer?
So I think what we're looking at with Rail Riders is we really want to see how they play through Atomic Waldo. The one time I did get to see them in scrims, Atomic Waldo really did his thing in support and was basically 1v2ing the bot lane, creating a ton of prio for drag, and just giving his ADC and jungler tons and tons of space to operate on the bot side, as well as getting deep vision throughout the mid and late game. I think it's going to be really important to try and focus on that and see how they decide to use the prio that he's been getting his team or translate into that into bigger leads throughout the games, because something we have seen from Whale Riders is trouble kind of closing out, despite their ability to get early leads in like 2 or even 3 lanes.
Yeah, that's some great insights. And Okramancer, what do we think about the matchup between Forge Whale Riders and Fu Fam? In your opinion, is the bot lane support matchup going to be the place to look, or should we be considering some of the sleepers in the other lanes?
Well, personally, I haven't seen any of either of these teams' scrims, but just looking at their statistics and what we've seen from what we can see from their solo queue, I honestly I expect the bot lane to be fairly uneventful because both of these carries look like they're very interested in like the hyperscaling picks. I see a lot of Jinx, Sivir, Smolder these on Whale Riders, and then on Fufam their ADC plays a lot of Zaya, a lot of Yunara, a lot of Aphelios. So I am honestly expecting to see the classic hyper carry and enchanter staring at each other for 15 minutes in the bot lane matchup here.
Right.
Normally,
Right.
I'd agree with you, but Atomic Waldo plays like those really high volatility characters. He plays a lot of. I think the big one is Pike. We saw him 1v9 a scrim on Pike. That was insane. Just
I do see a lot of Pike on
ridiculous.
his picks, but
Yeah.
outside of the Pike pick, like I see Sona, Braum, Zillion, Lulu, and Janna. Like
You realize how absurdly confident you have to be to pick solo, like Sona and solo queue? How much you really have to believe
you have to be
in yourself?
for a little brain damage.
Put
Yeah,
faith.
you have to actually be the best support on the Rift to be picking Sona and solo queue, bro. You and your 345 starting health, like
Yeah. I don't expect to see a Sona pick because the pick is so abusable in a coordinated team context, just because she is made of paper.
yes,
I
correct.
mean, you can
Right.
dive her at level 2 with just about any jungler.
Right. Yeah. Just before we move on to the last matchup, just my 2 cents on the support matchup between Fu Fam and Forge Whale Riders is that, yeah, we see a very aggressive kind of movement from Atomic Waldo being able to kind of put the team on his back while his AD carry has time to scale. But shout out to some of this games we've seen from Fu Fawn, who was the support for Fu Fam, and they've, Ferrets, who was in the support role for Fu Fam. They've been playing really well in terms of the Enchanter, how they get these key ultimates in team fights. We saw a lot of great Seraphine ults and kind of putting pressure on with the Karma. Managed to claw back what was a huge gold league in one of their last scrims, right? We saw a huge kind of lead in the bot lane, and they still managed to fight it back to get his 80 carry ahead. So this Ferret might be going feral, and it might have to go against, the implosion that is Atomic Waldo. So we'll see how that bot lane plays out. Lastly, we're going to check out the matchup at the end of the day. We have Team Nautilus against the Rift Walkers. Why don't we go start with Okramancer this time? Out of these two teams, where should we be looking for the most action?
So this team is definitely one where you want to watch the mid jungle matchups most of all. These teams are both interested in picking these really early game powerhouse junglers that really incentivize these 2v2 fights. Jarvan, Lee Sin, Zed, Hecarim are all top picks for for I think both junglers actually.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Jarvan and Lee Sin are two of the highest picked out of the both junglers. One of the things we saw from Frozen Ace, who's on Team Nautilus, is that he plays a lot of these carry jungles, as you mentioned. So it'll be a
Yeah.
lot of aggression in those lanes there. Oh, I see
Yeah.
we're starting to get into the pick ban. So why don't we end it off with Kazi? What do we want to look at for that last matchup? And then why don't you take us into the pick ban?
I actually, for once, I think me and Okra are on the same exact page. I actually think the mid jungle matchup's going to be insane, specifically because the champ pools for both those players and solo queue have been really small, and we've seen very little data with their new lineups because they're both bringing new lineups from scrims. So I'm really excited to see how mid jungle plays out, especially since we've kind of got an Azir mismatch there with Winter being an Azir main, and we've got like this Aesol main coming out for for Nautilus here. But let's hop into pick bans real quick. Let's just go over these really fast, and then I'll hand it off to you guys. Looks like High Alert's going to be blue side, 5 Fangs is going to be red side. High Alert immediately banning out that Gwen, which we were afraid of, banning out that Kayn, and then really maybe something you guys can talk about after I finish, but an Anivia ban coming out being really interesting, and then
This
5
league
Fangs
love
immediately
control
targeting that
mages.
jungle pool.
There's
And
the Syndra band. This league loves control mages.
yeah,
love
yeah.
control
Oh,
mages.
and there's just
There's
like
the
you said,
Yunara pick. That
immediate
is a
Yunara locked
power
in.
pick.
Yep,
If
absolutely.
you are blue team, you are looking to pick that first every single game. It is just that good.
And as far as I know, there's only one other ADC that's even considered anywhere close to Yunara's tier, and I wouldn't even say it's the same tier, but like I think we've seen enough priority on Varus to say that maybe that's the answer. But at the same time, Varus does
I think
kind
Varus
of
is what you
require.
pick when you can't get Yunara. We're going to see a Jinx come in here. I think that's a good match into the Yunara because the Yunara is already a champion that's not powerful in that early game. So she's already stating, this pick already states, hey, I want an easy lane to scale. And the Jinx is just a response going, okay, we'll take it and we'll scale too, and then we'll have the fist fight later.
And this is also a Gogeta comfort pick. This is something he picks when he knows he's going to have to play that weak side. He just wants to get as much farm as possible in the first 25 to 30 minutes of the game, show up to a team fight and just 1v9 on 3 items. So this is something that they can really fall back on. But the potential aggression of Yunara is kind of scary for Jinx, especially considering that even with the Rockets, she's not necessarily the safest laner, especially considering how fast she goes through manas levels 1 through 5. With Yunara with that 575 range to potentially bully. What do you think about this J4 pick though, coming out from Five Fangs?
This is big. I think it's a contested, right? The big contest in terms of what we were talking about before. It's an aggressive kind of bruiser matchup, and yeah, we're gonna see the opposition high alert pick the Zinja. So we talked about bruiser plus control mage, and it seems they're sticking with the script along with the hyper carries. So
Hey,
yeah,
look,
it's looking great.
It's Jarvan and other Jarvan. I mean, these champions are the same thing. I mean, they're both aggressive early game ganking junglers who fall off into the late game with some team fight utility.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
That's what we expect. And there's the Ahri pick. That is the blind mid lane pick. I mean, it's safe. It's safe.
It's
That's what you want when you
probably
pick blind.
for the past, I would say 5 months or so of solo queue, just been like the number one default mid lane pick. At least in my entire MMR. It is so easy to pick Ahri into any team comp blind and just be like, I will be okay, I will provide utility, and I can kill somebody if necessary.
Victor also provides the same type of pick as Ahri. You pick Victor when you don't know what you're up against. He's good blind. He doesn't have any matchups that kill him. He's good into all team comps, provides a lot of utility. He has everything you want out of a mid laner. He side lanes, he clears. So far, neither team is committing.
Yeah, everyone's picking, kind of sticking to the strip. We got a hyper carry in a bottom lane AD carry. We got a bruiser, a gank, heavy jungler in the jungle, and then we have a kind of blind, safe control mage mid that scales well. So it's going to be down to these last 2 picks of the support and the jungle, which we were talking about in meta shift to kind of really round out these team comps. And we see the Lulu ban, which is kind of a huge power point for both of the supports in high alert and 5. So that's going to be a really strong enchanter taken off the map, and the Garen taken off from high alert.
Lulu is sorry.
No, go ahead.
Lulu is the premier enchanter. If you want an enchanter, Lulu's the one you want right now. So if both teams are looking at enchanters taking out Lulu and just going, we're both going to play A tier enchanters, nobody gets the S, that's a very fair approach. And then taking out the Braum there, also just making it more accessible to get to this Jinx, which is going to be the real issue for this team comp.
And worth noting, taking Lulu out of this pool is really important, not just because they're not willing to play that 2v2, but more because when you're roaming, Lulu is so strong when you're pairing her with your jungle, trying to go get grubs, trying to gank mid lane, right? Like, it just provides so much utility when she's outside of lane that you really don't want to give her away when you're planning to play a weak side bot lane.
Yeah, we're going to see the Poppy pick up here in the top lane. This is a pick that to me says it a little bit of, what's a good way to put this? It's a scared pick because the Poppy is a champion that you don't really see. It's blindable. It's not the best blind, but really it's just a pick that doesn't have a lot of confidence behind it. It's saying it's a lane neutralizer pick, but we haven't even seen a top lane pick from high alert, so it's a bit preemptive. And this is a good response, I think. K'Sante is definitely
Yeah, so this is what I was thinking.
It's the Poppy support.
I think it's Poppy support. And Poppy support, unlike Poppy top, is a little bit more aggressive, but maybe more importantly, excellent into those first 4 characters, right? Poppy
Yep.
into Alistair, Poppy into Ari, Poppy into Jinzhao is really going to neutralize a lot of those potential mid-game skirmishes and help bridge Jinx to that late game she wants to hit.
Yes, they does meet Poppy Jinx. I don't think can be aggressive successfully on the Yunara lane, just because Poppy's W doesn't interact with Yunara's mobility because it's a move speed boost instead of a dash.
It doesn't, because it does turn into a dash, and it does properly interact.
Yes, but the early game trades are Poppy is not going to be able to lock down Yunara like she would have Vayne.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's talk a little bit more about the Jax. Why don't you give us your opinions on the Jax coming out of Five Fangs here for our boy Majora?
Well, if Poppy was a top lane pick with no confidence, Jax is a top lane pick that is overflowing with it. Jax, I mean, we've seen so many performances by those big name top of the line top lane players. When you want to have a big impressive performance, it's Jax. He's the guy. And into him, we're going to see the K'Sante matchup, which anybody who has watched competitive League of Legends should be deeply familiar with the Jax K'Sante matchup. And it's a pure skill matchup. So this is it comes down to who's got better hands in the top lane.
Well, this is kind of what we expect, right, from Majora, and maybe not being as familiar with Hyler just because of their lack of scrim participation. It looks like they're willing to just match, right, and say everything we've seen from Majora, we think we can do it better. So we'll just play that skill matchup, and we'll play to see who can really get out of this lane ahead and create that side lane pressure or even team fight pressure, especially with K'Sante being such a ridiculous character to deal with past like 20-25 minutes, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Both teams kind of handshook into playing mirrored comps. Like we're looking at two like team fight oriented hyper carry team comps here. So it really comes down to individual skill on a player level and then macro skill on a team level, because there's no gaps to exploit. You're fighting a mirror. It's pretty close to a mirror match.
These are both very solid team comps, but I do think both teams are really gearing up to play through top lane here, right? Like I think Prio is going to be of the utmost importance. Both mid laners are going to be able to clear waves and get out onto the rift, and frankly, because of the neutralizers both teams have as support, engaging bot lane or creating dives bot lane is going to be really difficult for either team.
Yep, absolutely.
Right. All right. Yeah. Thanks, so guys, for letting me join you for Pick Ban. I will be joining the cast later for Game 3, so I hope the cast for Game 1 and 2 goes well, and we'll be excited to see Five Fangs and High Alert play their first game in the first game of Prime Meta League. See you guys soon.
Yep. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining us, Kevin.
All right. What outside of the top lane, which obviously the top lane is going to be the lane of high interaction here, because every single other lane is neutralized.
Dead. Boring.
Yeah, it's dead in the water. It's
kill 6 minions, run to tower.
Tank, supports, hyper carries, and control mages.
Yes. Exactly what we love to see.
We have two extremely aggressive, active ganking junglers with only one lane to gank between them. This is going to be one active top side of the map.
Well, it could be an active top side, or we could see really active junglers trying to create advantage through invades and things like that, depending on their assessment of each other's pathing, right? I wouldn't be surprised.
Right, absolutely. But neither of these teams wants to invade on the bot side of the map, because if you invade on the bot side of the map and the other team responds, you have to pull your hyper carry away from farming.
Exactly.
If we're going to see invades, it's going to be on the top side of the map.
But hear me out. You got to hit him with the reverse psychomycology, right? If your opponent is focusing top lane, right, that bot lane jungle starts looking awful juicy and awful free. What I'm really saying is that I think jungle pathing is going to matter.
Some technical difficulties there is
sorry, I disappeared. I got sucked into Five Fangs team chat. I don't know how. Don't worry about it.
we'll just blame Five Fangs. Five Fangs cheating?
No bias actually, no bias. But what I was really saying is that like both these top lanes are so volatile, right? What's really going to matter, I think, is clear speed, pathing, and how distracted may not be the right word, but how clean both junglers are at getting to their first point of action, right?
Yeah.
Whether or not we see like 3 camp gank versus 6 camp gank versus full clear versus crab attempt versus no crab attempt for the straight gank is going to matter a lot, especially in this early game.
Yeah, even if the junglers decide on the exact same pathing, they both choose to do a 6 camp clear into top lane gank, which I imagine is going to be the most generic pathing option.
I would assume so as well.
Even a 10-second clear difference is going to make a huge difference in just getting to the gank on time.
Shoot, 5-second clear difference is the difference between you seeing the jungler gank the top laner and you being too behind to see them get into that bush, right? Like,
yep, it's going to be a very active top side of the map. Like, we're going to see a lot of fighting, and then the hyper carries are going to come out at 3 items.
For sure. And I think that's another thing, is that even though we've been talking about this 3-item power spike, I think that's actually a little bit more specific to Jinx. I think me and you both know that Yunara has a really solid 2-item power spike. It can really start swapping to be like a high prio
I think
pushing laner and get her Ahri into the side laner quicker than they could get the Victor into the side lane.
That's true. I think in terms of the push, Jinx and Yunara have a pretty even match there. I mean, the Jinx Rockets are also top of the line for post 15 mid lane clear. Yunara does have a much stronger 2 items than Jinx, although I don't think Yunara has spikes on 2 items. I think the champion's just overtuned to the point where it feels like she does.
It's just spiked the entire game, actually.
Because as a crit reliant champion, as a crit reliant champion, her 3-item spike is ridiculous.
Of course,
it's just
of course.
2 items feels like a spike anyway because you're that strong.
Well, you also, depending on the build path, right? But like Kraken Slayer being the standard build right now.
Yes.
Like the ability to just have like the 50% attack speed from your second item is so critical. And also like once you swap to mid, when you talk about AD carries that move better with their junglers, Yunara moves a lot better for those skirmishers than Jinx does until Jinx hits that 3rd item.
Yeah. All right. So it looks like we're going to be getting into our game here. We are going to be seeing a pretty standard 5-point from both teams. You know, we're guarding all the jungle entrances. Neither team is making an aggressive move. In terms of item matchups, we've got Doran's Shield on both top laners. Neither top laner wants to take aggressive trades in the 1 to 3 level range, or you'd see a Doran's Blade. We see double D-Ring on mid lane, double Blade on ADC, so it's completely mirrored items as well. It's just very small trades and pokes out here in the mid lane. We're in the pregame.
At this point, both teams are just going to kind of stare at each other, right? There's not too much interesting that's going to happen here. But I think if there's anything we're really seeing here, it's that we're going to go ahead and get the... I mean, we got even the same jungle item, right? We're just like totally mirrored the entire way through. The only real difference,
clear directions.
We even got Doran Shield on both top laners, which is really interesting. I'm surprised to see Majora go for the less aggressive start, but I suppose I understand, especially when you really want to.
If you're looking at Xin Zhao, man, you're looking at Xin Zhao ganking you gotta.
Yeah, I suppose that's absolutely fair. And both top laners already getting decent trades off with. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we do. I do want to address the jungle pathing because we see that Argol on the J4 is actually going to be pathing towards the bot side of the map early here. He's starting red and pathing bottom, and we're going to see the Xin Zhao is doing what we expected and pathing towards the top lane for an early gank. But Jarvan appears to be doing a 6 clamp to bottom unless he's going to go top immediately after these wraiths here. So this is an aggressive and an interesting path from him that really means that he wants to fight more for the bottom side of the map.
That is true, but I'm seeing coordination already coming out of Five Fangs here because Majora has already created himself a four caster freeze on the top side, which is going to make it really difficult for
Majora taking a really
Jesus.
Yeah, that's
terribly low.
That's the danger of of freezing your lane early is that if you take a trade in that big stacked up wave, you get obliterated. Minions probably did 200 damage to him there. The freeze puts him in a really strong place in lane, but he has taken so much poke damage that he is in a bit of a rough spot. This is a bit of an aggressive
Looks like
engage from Majora. You don't generally,
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think that fight is winnable in that kind of wave. Maybe just a little oversight from Majora there, trying
yeah,
to.
you don't want to be taking fights that early on Jax. Jax, we're seeing a grasp on Majora. If he has lethal tempo, that's a fight he can take. But he took grasp, which means he shouldn't be taking extended fights.
Exactly, like these short concentrated trades. But this first gank coming in from J4, he's getting awfully low. Argo almost dead.
Stupid.
Poppy also taking huge chunks of damage, and both these
When you
both these
gank-
players are putting themselves into a lot of danger. And then it looks
See
like
the
they're gonna get
Alistar go
flashed out.
down.
Frog Guy's going to go ahead and get 2v1 here by Argol and Rando Kanto, and Gogeta's going to try and pick up this kill. Rando Kanto is actually going to go ahead and get that 300 gold, but that's 2 kills going over to Five Fangs in the early game.
Very cleanly played by Five Fangs, and just too over aggressive on the side of High Alert. I understand you really want to get that Yunara head early. She's so strong at that moment. You're stacked up and you're looking at a bunch of low health enemy champions, but just an overly aggressive move in the bot lane leads to a early double kill on a Jinx, which is, or a 2 kills early, 2 assists for the Jinx, which is not a thing that you want to see.
And we're already seeing that mind game come into play, right? Where we're seeing like this inverse of what you think the standard would be from Five Fangs, where they pick this entire team that looks like they're going to play through top lane, but they path bot, they pick up these couple kills, even with what look like a potential fail gank. And all Less Forces gets to do is help bounce the wave topside, which is going to reset, but ultimately isn't going to create nearly as much advantage as Argol's going to be able to create for Five Fangs here.
Yep. Setting the Jax behind early does have a big impact, because that one kill on Jax, which just was an error from the Jax player, is going to create a lane state where he can't trade with K'Sante anymore. That one kill is going to put him in a place where he is going to get out traded in lane at all points.
Absolutely, but he's still getting these solid wave states, and so he's still. It feels to me like he's getting farm that he really shouldn't be.
Yes, absolutely. Like if this is the wave state that you're in against this Jax, should be looking to dive. This Jax is diveable. Since
But
Zal's already
unfortunately, because of the way the pathing worked out, you really can't. You really can't dive here, and that's going to be a dead. That's going to be a dead Oso with our. with Major pulling out the solo kill, and that's the kind of thing we've actually seen from him over and over again. Like he's found points where even as a dominant top laner, he's been behind in the early game, but he just like mind controls his opponent and
Yeah,
jumping them under tower.
that was pure mind control. I don't know. An aggressive gank from mid lane gets the Victor Flash. Very good. Very well played from what's his name? Less Force there. That was a well executed, clean Xin Zhao gank.
And
top lane
Victor
fight
Flash is really important. Let's talk about that, right? Like
that champion has no other mobility options, especially when you choose to take teleport on him. He can choose to take Ghost, which does mean that this becomes less of an issue. But with the current setup, he's got teleport. Having no flash on Victor means that you are literally just stuck walking around. Especially,
and it looks like Less Force gank is going to burn the flash on Poppy, which is another one of those really valuable resources when it comes to what are going to be some pretty shortcoming drag fights. Poppy with the Flash E is one of the cleanest engages that you can ask for from these bot side fights, and that's not going to be available in the upcoming few minutes. And we're going to get another trade in the top lane coming out for Majora and Oso, and they're really just
these guys are just beating each other up,
beating the crap out of each other.
These are real top laners.
Yeah, and here's a well-timed game from Argo now recognizing that, hey, my guy's in trouble, but he gets unstoppable by Oso and misses the knockup. And we've got Rando Kanto up here too. Everybody's here to get more kills to the K'Sante, but Argo's going to go ahead and make it out alive, and they're going to be able to trade back and get a reset wave state from Argo.
Yeah, very well-timed gank from Argo. Unfortunately, not well-timed enough because Jax took too much damage. And now
it looks so familiar.
A straight repeat.
Yep.
You know, if it works once, it works twice.
Same exact gank, except this time the Victor doesn't have flash, and that's the kind of thing we're talking about when we say that flash matters, especially for Victor, because R cooldown is short, and she has flash already, right? these are things that really, really provide you with a huge advantage against the less mobile, more damage-heavy Victor. And that's what we talk about when we say she's blind pickable, is that she just has all kinds of angles she can attack you from. She's not just damage, she also carries really, really easy to land CC and punch and mobility, and that's going to help with that gank right there, bringing down the Victor.
Yeah, very strong play from the Xin Zhao to find that angle to get in on the side where Victor can't see him. Victor is strong into these ganking champions because W shuts them down so hard, but Xin Zhao is doing an excellent job finding angles out of sight on that little curve top of the mid lane bridge, where he can land the W before Victor can see him, which makes the gank completely free. So I do want to call out the play there.
And it looks like Majora and Oso are going to just keep getting into it over and over again. They're just scrapping it out. Majora, it looks like, is really using these trades in order to guarantee that he's getting a reasonable amount of farm, keeping this wave from crashing into his turret. He's actually got a 9 CS advantage in this lane. Or sorry, excuse me. He's actually got a slight CS advantage in this lane, even though you would expect him to be losing pretty hard. And that's going to be the Victor burning a very critical peel spell for himself right into the Xin Zhao gank. And Ari's just got the mobility to dance around the Victor Cloud, and that's going to be another kill picked up for Argyle and excuse me, Argyle and Bread Bomb.
Against
Argyle and for Breadwater.
The Xin Zhao is really making it work here on the aggression on mid lane. Victor's just got to find the ward angle, like. Ward your raise, man.
Oh my god, what a clean gank from Argyle on the bot lane. Everybody hitting the Poppy Shield. Argyle looking for one last auto attack, using his ulti to get out. He's going to take one more turret shot, but he's still alive. Xin Zhao's going to go ahead and burn the ulti, but it looks like Rando Kanto's going to try a suicide in order to save his team. He's taking turret. Less Force is going to go ahead and pick this up eventually, but the rest of the team is trying to escape on the backside. Rando Kanto's actually finding a way to run away. He's dodges another Xin Zhao E. He's still on his way out. He's going to look for the volcanic.
Can he make it
before this Less Force? Oh my god, he's got a shield. Does he have the angle? No, he does not. He's going to go ahead and try and pick up the execute, but Less Force is going to get the kill.
Overall, strong gank from Argyle that gets to turned a little bit on Five Fangs, and they end up passing a Poppy kill to the Xin Zhao. To be honest, if you're going to donate a kill, I guess you wanted to go to Xin Zhao.
Oh, absolutely. If you're high alert, I think you're ultimately happy with how that situation plays out. Majora just still trying to trade with this K'Sante. It's really not looking as profitable as it's been the entire game, but Argo's going to go in on Breadwater again. They're going to go ahead. Oh my god, Gogeta with the exact damage ulti.
Yeah,
to go ahead
had to be so close.
Yeah, and they're going to go ahead and pick up a free dragon here because that's the exact type of pick you need in order to get these objectives for your jungler.
Yep, now it's just free. I mean, they can high alert can try and contest, but it's looking dicey.
But because of that,
in the top
high alert knows exactly where they are. Majora's going to go ahead and try and jump on Oso. Oso's going to respond back, but the only
Majora
thing enough. Majora's just going to go ahead and solo kill Oso.
This top lane is so weird. We're going to see another aggressive engage from Argyle. We're continuing to go. This man has to go back and spend his money. But we are going to see Taichi go down, and then a top lane, we are going to see Jax drop to Less Force. These top laners have no breaks.
Yeah, they do. They clearly don't care. Like they came to farm. Like they came to
Majora. This item build for Majora is absurdly aggressive. I mean, no boots at 12 minutes.
No, of course that's the Majora way. You build Triforce and you hope everything else works out later, right?
Like, why do I need boots? K'Sante's going to stand there and hit me.
Yeah, he's going to stand still and auto attack me. I shall simply auto attack him back and harder.
From K'Sante, we see this the very generic double chain vest Frozen Fist build. Double chain vest into these AD top laners it makes you unkillable. Unfortunately, Jax does do a significant amount of magic damage, which means that this double chain vest build is probably a little less effective than it could be. Honestly, it's probably just go straight Frozen Fist in this matchup.
It's not at its best in this matchup, but there's still going to be a reasonable amount of physical damage, especially from this particular Jax build. And it looks like Gogeta's just letting this ultimate go on cooldown, just trying to hit it whenever it comes up. And it is going to potentially force it back on Oso here because it did connect and do a solid 20 to 30% of his health.
Yep, Oso's now going to have to be careful because, as we have seen, even behind that, Jax does have kill threat. And we are sitting on a completed Triforce on Oso and no completed item on completed Triforce on Majora, no completed item on Oso, which is going to mean that the trades are going to go heavily in Jax's favor until Oso can pick up that completed item.
And it looks like they're going to be looking for a dive here. Argle's going to go ahead and walk up. He's taking the turret for about 5 minutes. They're going to go ahead and swap the aggro, but the Unstoppable comes out. Argle puts up the... Oh, and Majora's stuck underneath the turret while Breadwater comes to try and clean it up. He lands the charm.
Majora's going to go down. Argle tried to break aggro in the middle there and did not, unfortunately, and that is why he went down there. A nice dive attempt. Oh my god, we're getting more fights.
Got an Alistar counter engage. Vegeta's already had to burn the flash. Less Force is going to show up here. Poppy's going to go ahead and land the ulti, but Gogeta's really trying to scrap it out. He's just not got the damage. Rando Kanto's trying to make it out, and it looks like he's going to be able to get away clean. Another kill for Taika and Frog Guy going down bot lane. Really trying to get this Yunara online at this point with her first kill of the game.
Yep, we are being a little over aggressive on the map. These teams are fighting quite a lot, which is not what you expect to see when you see these picks, but we're fighting.
I don't think Majora knows any way but war. I don't think either top lane.
Yeah, but why
it means to not fight?
But why are we taking 2v2 all-ins playing like Jinx Poppy against Alistar Yunara? Like,
I didn't play League of Legends to not fight. I'm trying to see that gold number go up. You know what I'm saying? Like
Majora, again, we're going to see him trading lightly with Oso, but at this point, Oso has completed his Frozen Fist, so these trades are going to be a lot more even coming into this lane now.
Not to mention Majora hasn't built any damage in the past 5 minutes or so.
Yep, he's been just purchasing that...
his boots, his Ruby Crystal, his cooldown pot.
Yep, I'm interested to see what we're going to see in the second item here from him, because Jax's builds can be so versatile.
Absolutely. He still builds any item in the game and makes it work, right?
Most of them. I wouldn't build like Ardent Sensor.
Okay, you got me with the Ardent Sensor. I'm not gonna lie. I thought. All right,
Majora is going to be getting ganked here by the Ira and just goes down immediately, but that is going to buy time for his team to pick up this Rift Herald. I think they're going to get it. Yep, just at the tail end, very, very close there on the timing, but they do manage to pick that up and get out.
This is potentially a 3v2, but it looks like Five Fakes doesn't really want the smoke there, and they're just going to go ahead and just engage behind the Poppy, take their Rift Herald, and be on their merry way.
We see K'Sante rotating down, and Five Fangs just decides, all right, we don't want this. And Majora is now sitting at a comfortable 2-5, keeping up in CS and buying his team a lot of pressure.
Buying his team a lot of pressure, but also buying K'Sante a lot of items.
Yes, that is unfortunately true. So we are looking at one completed item about across the board here. Nobody's sitting out on an egregious gold advantage right so far, although Xin Zhao is definitely looking to build one.
And it looks like we're going to go ahead and get a full engage here from Argle. Jinx is free firing on the backline, but it's just not that much damage before she has her items. Poppy's going to go ahead and wind up the hammer for some disengage. Looks like they're going to end up holding it. We've got another fight going down top lane because both the top laners have noticed that the jungler is not nearby, and therefore they have the license to be able to beat each other up.
Yep, it looks like High Alert wants to take the dragon, so the Xin Zhao is going to be on that. We are getting a teleport in from Victor. Poppy is looking around. Dragon goes down.
A really close Jinx ulti there. Poppy looks like they're going to be trying to find this Alistar. Majora and Oso are going to be fighting yet again top lane, but they're going to be chasing the entire team out. Poppy's actually taking a lot of damage here, but it looks like she's going to go in. She's going to pop the ulti on the Alistar. Argo's going to go ahead and follow up. Oso and Majora are fighting in the top lane. Majora's going to go ahead and get chunked out low while Oso uses his ultimate. There's so many things happening everywhere, but ultimately
there's too many fights.
Dies. I guess Alistar.
We do see Alistar go down for High Alert. Five Fangs finding
Majora's going to go ahead and try and take another fight on Oso.
Oh my god.
Oso's just so tanky. Majora can't really do the damage. Oso's going to go ahead and take out Majora, and that's going to be another solo kill for K'Sante. And the turret. No.
We swapped right there between that fight in the mid lane where we just saw Alistar die to a really clean combo from the Poppy immediately to the outplay, watching Kesante flash the
Oh
Jax.
my god, J4 is getting
and then another
Alistair
fight.
under turret. Oh, he's so dead here. This is going to be another
Yeah.
kill given over to the Yunara.
Yep, Yunara is starting to get very big, and that is going to be very dangerous. She's getting really close to that 2-item spike we were talking about pregame. Not looking clean on the Yunara for the 5 eggs there.
It is worth noting that Jinx is playing a little bit of this catch-up game, though, with their build really looking for a 2-item spike for themselves as well, giving up the utility / AoE of Runedanc's Hurricane, or perhaps
Just to
the
rush
guiding from-
directly into the IE.
Yep, looks like she's going to go directly for IE, which means she's not going to be a super high DPS character, but she is going to provide a lot of damage in the 4 or 5 auto attack she is going to land, and hopefully that
We're gonna
combined
see
with
a
the
dive
rocket
of
is going to be
Majora.
enough, but they're going to go
Majora's
ahead and
gonna
dive
go down here
Majora
on the
under the bot side turret, and that's just not going to be enough for Majora, just TPing directly into death.
Yep, very, very clean. When you're up against that Alistar, you have to be aware that he can dive you at impunity. The
Ad
tower is
nauseam.
not a relevant safety bastion against Alistar with ult up.
Absolutely, and it looks like they're just doing a classic lane swap here to try and get as much farm into Gogeta as possible, which
Yep.
stands to reason, right? Like, you didn't pick the Jinx to make sure she didn't get CS. She's gotten
Yeah.
a reasonable amount of kills early. You just really want to try and get her as much gold as possible to hopefully try and make up for, we'll call it, aggression from Majora.
This is a bit of an interesting rotation. Normally, at this point in the game, you would send your bot lane into mid, but I suppose that they see that the mid tower is the mid tower down?
Mid tower is still going to be up, but ultimately
No,
they
the blue
are
team
going to
mid
get a little
tower.
bit punished for the side lane decision because Gogeta's going to go ahead and get hit up, but they're going to send all 5 topside here. Gogeta is going to live somehow.
He's clutch. The man is clutch. We do see that the mid tower is down for high alert, so I think that we are just trying to clean up all of the outer turrets. So we're sending the Jinx in.
Not to mention sending Jinx into a lane where the turret's already down means that she has to farm forward, and that's relatively unsafe. They're going to go ahead and pick up Otacon off that fight topside. Gogeta still hasn't actually taken it back, but she's going to land the W onto Breadwater and just clean up another wave. This is just so much gold in the pockets of Gogeta just off the 4 assists she picked up, plus the
Yeah,
Otacon experience.
The Gogeta has going to spike massively off this fight. We might see him complete his Infinity Edge here. That would put him on 2 items with the Yunara. Yep. Oh, are we? He's waiting. Not quite enough.
No,
The
not
Infinity
quite
Edge
enough.
is such a big purchase that puts. So for the next fight, this Yunara is going to be a lot more impactful than the Jinx just because of that item difference, coming solely from the difference between 2850 gold for Runaan's and 3650 for IE.
And you know that seeing how Poppy's holding these lanes, right? What I'm really thinking is that we're trying to get 3 more waves into this Jinx, cheat another recall out, and just immediately buy this IE with the 625 gold that she needs on top of these item components, right?
Yeah,
Especially if they could try and get that done before any of the next objectives are up.
Yeah, we are going to see Dragon spawning in 45 seconds. So when Jinx backs here in the next 10 seconds, we're not going to see her with an IE on this Dragon fight, which is
sure.
going to be a big problem for Five Fangs because they're really relying on Jinx for the damage output in these
It
fights.
is- It is going to be an issue, and it looks like she's not going to pick up this wave quickly enough. So it looks like they're going to go ahead and press this advantage. I'm not sure if High Alert sees the fact that Yunara is relevantly ahead of Jinx right now, but they at least know enough to know that they have an advantage and that Five Fangs is falling off.
Yes, they know they're strong now. They're looking the pressure. What is this Victor build? Oh, we've seen Engage going in down
like-
here on.
Looks like Westport is going to get a little bit caught out. Rando Kanto is going to go ahead and try and get a lot of damage down, but they're going to flash in and kill themselves. Majora's in the entire team just taking a ton of damage, really just kind of toughing it out. Argo's going to be on the backside trying to peel the Jinx. Gogeta is ultimately not going to get any DPS down, which is going to be a huge difference maker in that fight, as High Alert trades 2 for 0 and is going to go ahead and pick up this Fork Drake.
Yep. Just a very cleanly executed engage from High Alert to catch out a poorly timed engage from Argol, who is now going to be going in on the mid lane. We see Argol go in, and he is going to
It
get
looks like
picked
Argol's
up
going to
here.
go ahead and lose his life for that. Argol is going to go ahead and try and make it out. He's got the
I
move
do think he
from the
lives.
Dominus. He's going to hit the Volcano Plant. If he can find one more Flag and Drag, he's probably going to be all the way out, and it looks like he's going to make it to his mid-tier 2. Rando Kanto's going to be there to try and peel off tight to prevent the dive. Argol's ultimately going to make it out. The punish is still a few camps going over to High Alert, but ultimately, considering how hard he was caught, not the worst thing in the world.
No, a clean escape from Argol there. So this Victor build is going to... we are really depending on Jinx for damage here, because Victor is going to... That item build is very, very low damage. I mean, we've got the Blackfire Torch, which is a low damage, low AP starting item, and then into the Bloodletter's Curse. The only other magic damage on the team is coming out of, like, what, Jax? This is a very, very strange choice.
Sure, I understand where we're going with this Victor build either, but I'm just going to go ahead and trust it. It looks like Majora's going to try and fight Oso once again in the spot lane. This time with the help of Argol. Oso just going to try and walk it out with the massive amount of armor he has. But Majora's going to go ahead and stun him up once again. Argol's going to flag and drag. They're just going to get another knockup. Oso's going to knock them even further towards his team. This fight is taking 40 seconds. Why is nobody helping? Oh my god, Argol's not going to have the cooldowns. Oso's going to be able to just walk out alive. There's a TP coming in. And that appears to be the only resource burned from High Alert in exchange for that gank.
Yeah, looked like a very K'Sante sort of moment where he just walks away from a bunch of damage. But in the end, we do burn on the Ahri TP for that gank, which is a very relevant resource to be burned at this point in the game. We can see the Barons coming up here in 40 seconds, and now we have the Ahri stranded in bot lane with no TP on the Baron spawn timer. That is very relevant. We're going to see Yunar engage
For
here.
sure. Yep, and Yunar really just chunking out Jinx with that ultimate. Trying to DPS as she kites away. She's going to ultimately get a lot of damage down here. Majora's going to try and jump straight on her, but she's going to go ahead and kite out. As long as she doesn't get stunned up, she's going to be okay. She's going to go ahead and hit the W onto Majora. Majora's going to die here. Argol tries to get the counter engage. He's going to land a 4-man ulti, but ultimately the frog guy flashes out. Argol looking for the poke. He's going to go ahead and get the 80 carry down. Gogeta's still able to free fire from the backline, but Argol's not going to be able to escape in time. We're going to get an engage from Jin Zhao. Gogeta's going to try and get as much DPS as he can, but just not going to be able to penetrate the Jin Zhao ulti, and that is another win for High Alert, but only a 2-for-1.
Yes, but importantly, we have picked the jungler, which opens up a Baron choice, a Baron option. So we could see High Alert transition here into Baron after this tier 2 mid, because we do have the Jarvan dead. Lacking their ADC, they might choose another option, though.
Especially considering High Alert does sincerely lack DPS without their ADC up.
So far, this is going according to the Five Fang script. We will have to see if they will pull the comeback out, as we have seen them do so many times in scrims.
Unsure, the script included a 9-death performance from Majora with 134 CS at 25 minutes. But ultimately, we are this far into the game. The Jinx has a reasonable amount of kills. You're relatively even in terms of map resources. And as long as you don't lose an objective in the next, 2 minutes, you should be able to see a third item on Jinx this game, which is really, really what you're looking for.
Yep. The gold tracker is only about 1.7 in favor of 5 High Alert right now. So a very winnable game when you have that hyper carry on that Jinx. But it is a difficult position to be in. Especially that since out at 4-0-5 is looking very dangerous.
An absolutely massive performance, by the way, from LessForce. Really doing everything he can to not only mitigate the fight's top lane, but ultimately turn them, finding multiple good ganks mid and bot, just really having a huge impact on this game. And
both junglers have been incredibly active and aggressive this game. This has really been a jungle-directed game so far.
Yeah, and the thing is, what I was going to say is we've seen that reflected from Argol, who's also putting in an excellent performance from his team, ultimately being in 11 of these 13 kills. Maybe not as clean a job as LessForce is doing, but really doing
after we say that, it looks like LessForce might lose his perfect KDA here, as he's getting engaged heavily on in the
Flag and Drag's going to land, the traps are going to land, the shutdown's going to go over to Jinx, which is huge. Oso and Majora are also fighting in this top lane, and they are going to have time to make it over. Oh my god, K'Sante is broken.
No, that was
absurd.
Colossal mistake from K'Sante. Oso handed that fight to Majora, because if you just K'Sante ult and don't knock him through the wall into his own team, you kill him there. But we're gonna hand deliver him to his own team.
And also
very, very solo queue behavior, by the way, for the two top laners to be beating each other in the face while their your jungler is getting ganked in your own jungle.
Yeah, in your own jungle, in a helpable position.
Both top laners, guys. Come on, I understand the top lane mindset, but you gotta learn your macro.
No, I love it. I think this is how the game was meant to be played. You see the other guys stand across from you in your lane, that guy's the only one who exists.
See,
Object
unfortunately,
tournament is for the weak.
the end result of that is that every top lane matchup is Darius versus Trundle, because if you play like that, ultimately Darius and Trundle are unbeatable.
Yeah, exactly. It's a concept I called carry feeding back in my early days of League, where like I'd have somebody on my team who's gone 20-17, but they don't understand why we can't do anything against the other guy on their team who's 17-20, because that guy has 4,000 more gold than us. But I mean,
my 20-17 Darius flaming us while they're 17-20 Kale at 45 minutes ends the
45
game.
minutes to like one shot the entire team. Yeah, exactly. That being said, we're gonna get 4 mid here from Five Fangs. They're gonna be trying to pressure this turret.
Yeah,
with their Baron buff.
with their Baron. Very strong position for them to be in right now. Majora again.
Worth noting, for maybe the first time this entire game, Majora solo split pushing against the Cassante is probably the correct thing to do. These Baron minions are incredibly hard for Cassante to deal with, and Majora's going to be able to basically free hit the turret as long as Cassante is not using his ultimate. And using your ultimate just to push a Jax off your turret, probably not advisable when team fights are so preeminent right now.
Yeah, this is a very commanding position for Five Fangs. They did it again. Just a lot of pressure. Jinx is going to be able to get a complete free farm here. She's going to get 1 to 1.5 waves a minute. Jax is just scaling up here in the bot lane. I know he's 2 and 9, but it still don't matter when he hit 4 items. So and this is honestly, very strong for them.
From Majora is even as he's been this behind, he's been landing critical, huge stuns in team fights in coordination with Argyle, right? Argyle's been hitting 3 people on a flag and drag, hitting an ultimate, and Majora's been right behind him, stunning like 3-4 people at a time. And it's one of the reasons why they've won these team fights. Like, I don't think just because Majora's stat line doesn't look very good that we should be discounting the things that he's able to do, especially around Dragon and these other jungle choke points that we're going to see more and more of as the game continues. Five Fangs is going to go ahead and force down a turret, though.
Five Fangs, this is the position Jinx wants to be in the most, where you are just slowly and inexorably pushing your way in. You can free hit with the 700 range rockets and just slowly whittle down towers from a position where the enemy team can't engage on you. High Alert has to find an in here because otherwise they're just going to get ground.
Yeah, for sure. And looks like we're going to go ahead.
This is not an in.
No, looks like we're going to be a little bit separated from our team. But Jinx is free firing over the wall, which is one of the best things she can do. But it looks like the rest of High Alert is going to get out of range. Frog Guy's going to go ahead and get a kill. Argyle's pretty low on the side here. Majora's just going to go ahead and sacrifice his life for the rest of his team. While High Alert takes a 2 for 0 and looks for an objective, but isn't really going to find one.
A bit of a sketchy fight there from Five Fangs. The engage over the wall when the Jinx and a Victor who can't follow you at that distance. If you're going to push over the wall, you can't go any further. And unfortunately, pushing a little too far, Rando Kanto overextends and gets picked for his trouble.
Of course. And the thing is, it was so close to being a good team fight. The High Alert recognizing that the Jinx is free firing over the wall and that they have to do something about that. Oh my god, I can't believe they're actually going to go for the win here. We're going to get a really strong fight for the Jinx because this is just going to be a front-to-back one. And it looks like they're going to look for a reset. Jinx is going to go ahead and reset, but she's going to be charmed up. Redwater's going to get chased out by Rando Kanto, but it looks like they're ultimately going to make it out. They're going to land a slow coming from Jin Zhao onto the Poppy. And that's going to be an inhib for High Alert. Finding an objective where there really wasn't one to be found. Majora's going to go ahead and use the TP bot lane, though. And it's going to be
extremely aggressive TP
for Five Fangs.
Yep. Majora, this is an extremely aggressive TP for Majora. Honestly, probably should have gone top. But what we are looking to do is create as much pressure as possible just to give our team some breathing room. Right now, Five Fangs really have to look to regroup and control the mid lane, keep that pushed in so that they have an opportunity to fight for Baron. Because the lane is going to push towards them over time, and if the super minions are knocking on their Nexus while the Baron fight is happening, they're in a bad spot.
Of course, and it is having super minions start spawning basically as their Baron buff runs out is going to be super rough for Five Fangs, and they're going to look to try and trade this objective before they start getting back to the shove. Looks like
They have to secure this
down,
Yep.
but there's a TP coming in for the Cassandra on the side. He's ultimately not going to find a pick. They're going to be free firing on him. Breadwater's on a killing spree, going to go ahead and take care of
Big
the
stun from
Poppy.
Majora.
Argo's going to go ahead and get into the backline along with Majora. Majora's going to try and 1v1 the Yunara, but Yunara's doing so much damage, and it looks like Tyke is going to get taken down. That's going to be a reset. Argo looking for another flag and drag, going to land a slow onto Jin Zhao. He's going to be trying to get enough DPS to be able to get him down. That's going to be the ultimate coming out from Argo. That's a quadra kill for Victor. Oh my god. There's only one person left on high alert, and it's Frog Guy.
Five Fangs found the team fight that they needed there. Victor and Jinx were just allowed to freely attack the back line and the front line and just get massive AoE value. And the Jax stun on 4 people, just an incredible engage. Majora really showing why, you can't discount Jax even if he's behind as hell.
Yeah, for sure. And you would never call Jax a utility top laner, but Majora really showing how to maximize the value you can get out of your character when you find yourself in that early hole or having trouble getting into the game in like a traditional sense, just trying to abuse every single part of his kit in the best way possible, and ultimately being able to contribute to what appears to be a winning game state for Five Fangs as they go ahead and take down this Baron.
Yep. The Zhonya's Hourglass that he's working towards is, or he has just purchased, that's not an item you buy on Jax when you're trying to solo carry. That's an item you buy on Jax when you're trying to make a big stun.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
That's what he's looking to do, and really that's what you got to do when you're a top laner and you get behind. You got to look for the ways that you can influence the game with the base aspects of your kit, even when you're behind on stats.
Yeah, there's just so many kits in the game that have things that they can do other than damage. It's one of those things where, like, when you fall behind, usually you should just be trying to enhance your utility. When you're ahead, you push damage because you have the money to do so.
Well, the concept is that on parity, you push damage. When you're behind, you push damage because you can't build defenses to not get one shot. They're 2 ahead. And then when you're ahead, you build defensively because you have enough damage from being ahead that you don't need more, and you should be able to not fall behind. You already got the advantage. But when you're playing Jax and you're in the top lane and you're just behind statistically and you know you can't win fights, Zhonya's does let you find those stuns and get out alive. And that can be enough.
Absolutely. It looks like they're going to take their Baron buff to top lane. They're going to look for an engage onto Ozo here. Argo's going to go ahead and use his flag and drag. Ozo's going to push him back over the wall. He's getting juggled around like a volleyball, and it looks like Victor's going to go ahead and free fire on the back line. That's going to be a lot of damage going onto that turret. They're going to take it down, but they're going to go ahead and trade their jungler for it. Looks like Ari's going to try and find an engage here. They're going to land a charm to Victor, and it looks like Victor's trying to run away with his cloud. Gogeta's trying to free fire from the backline, but he's going to get hit up. Oh my god, he's going to get a reset. He's got so much damage. He can't quite take down Tyke, but he's going to get enough free fire to be able to do so. Majora's still fighting the backline. Oso's getting taken really, really low, and this is going to be a Jinx reset. Quadra kill into the game for Five Fangs.
Yep, Five Fangs is going to pick it up here. That's a full HP Jinx fully revved up in the late game, so we can confidently assume this one's over. And Five Fangs have done it again. Gogeta manages to find an insane fight to clean out the game where he just does it. You cannot count Five Fangs out. Every single game, they get behind early and then they find a way in. Very impressive performance, especially from both junglers and from Gogeta.
And also just interesting, right?
7-1.
What it looks like when we decide to play through Gogeta, because we thought this was going to be a top lane game, right? And don't get me wrong, both top laners were duking it out, but one side elected to play through top mid, and the other side elected to play mostly through bot, and ultimately Gogeta was able to more or less just crush 2 team fights in a row, leading to the end of the entire game.
Yep. Gogeta's performance when he gets when he hits that third item, like I said coming into this match, always got to be watching Gogeta.
And I mean,
very well played from both teams.
Look at these damage charts, right? Like, it looks like relatively even across the board. But when you consider that Gogeta was only in 4 fights the entire game, right? You realize how much damage he was stacking up in those last 2 fights.
You look at the damage chart, and you see it looks very even because we did have a very even game. But when you look at the gold charts,
Oh my god, 497 a minute onto Gogeta, just funneling gold into that character. 7
a
1 and
full-
12, 19
full-
KDA.
Full 10% more than a frog guy
Yeah, for
on,
sure.
the same
And it
role.
translates almost exactly the damage, right? He did about 10 to 12%
10%
more damage over the
sure.
course of the game. Even though obviously that damage is a little bit skewed by the later team fights. That's just how Jinx works. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
But-
really interesting to see Five Fangs change it up.
Well, very well played from both teams. A very close game for our first official match. So we couldn't have asked for a better opener.
Oh, an absolute banger. We saw, I mean, no offense to any of the teams who were scrimming, but we kept seeing stomp after like level 1 3 kills for the mid laner in scrims. It's nice to see like a really tight, really close game decided by just a couple of marginal plays.
Yeah.
Like a really behind top laner just getting into the back line and kind of doing his job. Seeing Xin Zhao really get mid lane ahead and creating a lot of pressure in the early game. That's the type of League of Legends that I really came here to see, you know?
Yeah, it was a good showing for both teams. Both played very well in accepting some over aggressive play on the top lane. We really, if you guys got like time to talk, like please stop fighting all the time.
Sorry, our Discord chat is having a lot of fun.
Majora is celebrating their win.
Yeah. All right, so who do we have next on the docket here? I know I have.
We have
I
Whale,
be
Forge
organized.
Whale Riders and Fu Fam as our next matchup block here.
Let me get these guys set up in my little Chrome tabs here to make sure I'm seeing the right people. Check some rosters, and I guess we might as well talk a little bit about what we're probably going to see here. So, Rift Walker's Fu Fam, you said?
Yeah, I'd like to do a bit of post game on that match we just saw.
Oh yeah, for sure,
because we're going to be here for a while before we get into the next one.
100%.
Let's see. Can Dubious, would it be possible to pull up the end of game item and final board there so we could take a look at it? Because one thing that I want to talk about is losing to the shopkeeper. You guys got to stop doing this.
No. Wait. Losing to Shopkeeper is like kind of my favorite thing to do, though.
Like, you guys got to stop autopiloting yo item builds. I don't know how else to put this.
Well, what are we looking at here? What was the big issue in this one? Because
right.
I'm not looking at their item
First.
builds right now.
First, both ADCs, fine. It's ADC item builds, you know.
I mean,
Support,
yeah.
again.
How bad could they possibly be? Like,
Supports, again, you click the tank items. I get it. What I really want to focus on here is I'm looking, first of all, the item build up for Majora, you gotta buy boots.
no, I think if that game showed
You
us
don't gotta
everything-
buy
have
tier
to buy
2 boots. But if you can't spend 300 gold on brown boots, what? Come on.
No, but like,
And secondly, Victor, incredible mechanical play. Like, we saw him wipe that end game team fight. But what the fuck is a Bloodletter's Curse doing in your inventory?
dude, I'm not. Okay, listen, I'm gonna be straight with you, right? I play a lot of AD carry. I played mid season to get to gold. I've never seen this item in any of my games. What is this?
It's magic damage Black Cleaver. It is the Black Cleaver for magic damage champions. Every hit you reduce.
Oh, this item's neat.
Yes. You don't
Doesn't
buy
look
it on
great.
Victor.
It doesn't look great. Yeah, like, but it's really cool though. Like,
Bloodletter's Curse is incredible in games where you A, have multiple magic damage champions on your team, or B, are playing a champion that does repeated ticks of magic damage so you stack it very quickly, in the same way that Black Cleaver is. You buy Black Cleaver on Darius because Darius bleed stacks it instantly. You
look
buy
at
Black Cleaver.
Bill, Cassante has 45 bonus MR.
Yeah. Like,
That's
even
so
a
much.
Void Staff, even if you're going to buy MR Pen, which you probably should, everybody does have MR growth.
Yeah, for sure.
Buy a Void Staff. It's 10% extra pen, and you don't have to stack it first with your Victor spells.
Yeah, with your Victor spells.
This is a Cassiopeia Rumble item. This is a dot champ item. This is not for you, Victor. I know you got the Blackfire Torch. Does not count.
Also, maybe it's just me, and not to harp on the poor Victor, but like, I don't think the 400 health on this item is super useful. Like, we're kind of wasting those stats, right? Like,
on Victor, I played a lot of Victor. He did get played a lot in top lane a couple seasons back, where you played him tank. But
sure,
on Victor, you do want one health item, because if you don't get one health item, you get one shot by absolutely
everything.
Okay. Usually, what you see in that slot is either a Leandri's or a Rod of Aegis.
It is also weird to think that we built this like low AP item and then immediately
right into death cap
Rabadons. Yeah.
like the gameplay from both of these teams is so good, but talk to your coaches about item builds, please. I am begging you.
I have one strong point to make though, Okromancer.
Yes.
Scoreboard.
Yeah.
2-1.
That's true. Imagine how much easier it would have been with like items that made sense.
Bloodletter's Curse is 100% win rate.
Yeah, Bloodletter's Curse 100% win rate on Victor in this league. I don't know what to tell you.
And Rod of Ages or Leandri's or whatever other item you were going to build in that slot, 0%. I don't know what to tell you.
Honestly, what I would have built in that slot, what is glaring to me in the Victor's item inventory, especially against a Xin Zhao who's ahead and a K'Sante who's ahead, is a Zhonya's Hourglass.
Yeah, that item's busted. I have no feedback there.
If you're playing a mage, you buy Zhonya's Hourglass, second or third item. I'm sorry. It's not exciting. Nobody wants to.
I've been wanting to build Zhonya's Hourglass for, I don't know, a decade plus. Like
every single ADC who can even remotely justify Zhonya's Hourglass jumps on it. The 6th item for Ezreal, for Kai'Sa, for like any ADC with magic damage AP scaling in the late game is Zhonya's, because the active is so insane.
It's just busted.
But the biggest benefit of playing a mage is that you get to buy Zhonya's.
I do agree. I will also say, and this is me not actually criticizing, but I would like your opinion. What do you think about this Crypto Bloom on Ahri?
Crypt Bloom and Void Staff are really it's a personal preference thing. I mean, with Void Staff, you do end up with a bit more damage, but Crypt Bloom does give you a bit more survivability and has a lot of team utility. So both of those items, it really comes down to what you want out of the team comp, but you can buy either one and have it be reasonably justifiable in almost any situation.
For sure. I think I've shied away from Crypt Bloom myself just because it's one of those items that you don't feel as hard as you feel Void Staff. But I do read that item and say, well, as somebody who's not good at the numbers of League of Legends, right? Like when I read the item and its effects, I'm like, if the numbers here are good enough, this item's probably fine. But I don't know if these numbers are good enough. Like, I don't know if this heal is relevant. I don't know if 35% pen is enough. So on.
35% pen. You do lose a bit of damage going Crypt Bloom over Void Staff, but it's not a lot, and you do get a reasonable utility trade, so it's totally justifiable. It is not the ADC situation where of the armored pen items, you buy one literally every game, and the other one basically shouldn't exist.
There's only 2 armored pen items in the game for ADCs, right? There's Cyrilda's Grudge and Mortal Reminder. Yeah.
That third one doesn't exist. There is
no third one. There is no third.
Seriously, I could get Grievous Wounds, a very important mechanic, or 5% extra total armor pen.
5% armor pen. or Cyrilda's, where I could get a 35% slow, and all the characters who build it, basically every refreshing.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Right?
Ezreal.
Or I could get 5% armor pen.
Yeah,
for my hybrid character, by the way.
Serelda's is the only realistic option for a lot of character champions because they don't want crit.
Yeah,
Like, you don't want crit on
Ezreal.
Lethality Varus or Ezreal.
Yeah,
or
you don't want it on Lethality Varus. You don't want it on. You don't really want it like Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa's a weird one, but like back
you don't
when
really want
Kai'Sa was
armor pen on Kai'Sa.
Well, back when Kai'Sa would actually build full AD, or like back when she would build Infinity Edge, like you could build.
Yeah, the crit Kai'Sa.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the percent armor pen items are a mess.
Yeah. I
Have
don't
been
know.
since season 1. I would like to remember everybody who complains about armor pen items now needs to shut up, because in season 1, Last Whisper cost 2,100 gold, had like 40% bonus armor pen on it,
Yeah,
and
dude.
40 AD. Unbelievable.
No,
Like,
that item was
literally the first
insane.
item we purchased on any physical damage champion.
No, I remember back when
Completely unhinged.
back when Last Whisper was the only armor pen item.
Yeah,
It was
that's
like
what I'm talking about.
1900 or whatever, like 1950. Like
2150.
was it 2150? Oh my god, that was so
It
good.
built
Such a
out-
good time to be alive.
The recipe was a single pickaxe and 1,200 gold. So not only did it have was it really stupid statistically, it also had a great build path, because pickaxe is the single best item you can build out of for build path purpose.
Yeah,
It is
for
the
sure.
ideal first back.
I remember. Well, I also remember being. So like, I played ADK for a long time. I played it poorly for a long time. I remember back when BF Sword was like 1550, and the entire
Oh my God.
7 minutes in bot lane was just which one of us is like just ever so slightly more confident at staying, so we can hit 1550 and come back to lane and just kill the other guy who had to back for pickaxe.
Yeah, the classic season 2 matchup of Misfortune and Graves looking at each other for 7 minutes and being like, "You recall first." No, you
No,
recall
you
first.
recall first. Yeah.
And then you both hit 1550 and immediately like run behind your towers and recall.
Yeah, like doesn't matter what the wave state is at all. We're recalling here. Like
If she recalls and comes back first, she'll have literally 50 AD over me and I'm gonna die instantly.
yeah, and I remember when that match changed because they put Sword of the Divine into the game and Draven into the game at like the same time.
Oh, yeah. Original passive Draven with the bleed on auto was just like, why did you put that in the game
Unreasonable.
of League of Legends? What, you know what Draven needed? More early game damage.
Yeah, exactly. More pressure.
Draven needs to be able to kill you harder, and they did it because they wanted to mirror Darius. But like,
Yeah.
come on.
No, I understand that they're brothers, right? And that's a neat trick and all, but it's just putting a bleed on a range character is like kind of unreasonable, actually. Like just straight up. Right.
It can be all right. Like, there are range dot champions. Cassiopeia is essentially that, but it has to be like the kit has to be built around it in a very specific way. It can't be just like a generic damage passive. You
Yeah,
chuck on
it's a
Draven.
skill shot on cast. Like this difference between it being a skill shot and an auto attack proc is like night
Well-
and day.
Teemo do exist.
Teemo does exist, but Teemo's like the poster child for I have bad numbers and I'm therefore unplayable in League of Legends, right?
Yeah, because if you make him playable, it's
He's
the
the
most
worst.
frustrating
Yeah.
champion to deal with on Earth.
Well, that used to be true. I think nowadays we could argue that there are other characters that are more frustrating. But
Looks like we're getting
What?
into the picks. Blue side, we got Fu Fam, and on red side, we have Whale Riders.
all right.
What are we looking to for the bands here?
Okay, let me make sure I got the right teams in front of me. Okay, so so let's start first and foremost. Both teams play Yunara. Okay, so
Everybody should. If you're not playing Yunara at this point in time in this league, you should be.
and
So I think
will
we got to
say
go.
Fu Fam has
assuming.
first pick. Fu Fam has first pick. It's very clear to me Fu Fons has been spamming Yunara in solo queue, like even more so than most people. And so Fu Fam is for sure not banning Yunara.
Yeah. So if Whale Riders is very confident in their ability to deal with the Yunara pick, they will let it through. If they are not 100%, it's just a guaranteed red side ban. I think we're going to see that a lot this league.
Well, what would it take you to give up a Yunara pick? What are the two characters you would trade for Yunara right now if you were asked to?
what would it take for me to give up the Yunara first pick in this league?
Yeah.
$20 on PayPal. You're not getting it otherwise. I don't think there are two characters that are worth trading for Yunara. We're in a real Gangplank 2019 type of situation here. The champion is just that overtuned.
I don't know about that. I think it's just that there's not many carries that offer the same prio as Yunara.
She's not quite as good as Gangplank 2019, but she is much better than every other ADC to the level where there is no comparable pick.
I'll give you the comparison, actually, for the 4 people on Earth who play League of Legends and watch sports. It's like early picking your tight end. There's like 2 tight ends in the NFL who generate a receiver amount of value in your fantasy league. And they are eminently better than every other tight end because there's such a gap between them and the next tight end in terms of what they can do for your fantasy team. So you either like have a ton of priority on your tight end, you're picking it in the first 2 rounds, or you don't pick your tight end until round 7. And that's what Yunara feels like. Yunara, because of the amount of pressure she can exert at all points in the game, but especially because not many other AD carries can exert her pressure early game, is extremely high priority, and then every other ADC is so much marginally.
There's the Yunara ban.
Gets it outside. What? Oh.
From Yunara ban from Red Wines, yeah.
Okay. I almost had a heart attack.
Fufam, we're going to see a Mumu ban, which I don't understand, but
could be a target ban.
Pyke makes definite sense. We see a lot of Pyke coming out of the support for Atomic Waldo, the support for Whale Riders, and
also, like I talked about in the pre-show, Atomic Waldo is like kind of their difference maker, right? And in the scrims we have seen from Whale Riders, of the 2 of them, one of them, Atomic Waldo, was like 20-2 on Pyke. Like actually just 1v9 the whole game.
Yeah,
so like you've seen it in solo queue before, but like those Pyke games are
it's the king again.
Wukong. Let's go.
The king and the Monkey Man. So we're gonna see these are the contested junglers in the league so far. Jarvan is in every game. Wukong, good, solid pick into Jarvan, matches up well. It's just in that group of Jarvan-like champions.
For sure. I mean, they're all like
Jarvan, Wukong's
very solid, right?
The same 5 guys that you rotate between.
Yeah, but the thing is that like when I think of Jarvan Wukong, I feel like I'd almost definitely want Wukong first. But maybe it's just that we're a little bit more comfortable on J4. Or maybe there's just something.
They have differences. Wukong provides stronger team fighting in exchange for a weaker early fight because he doesn't have CC in his base kit.
Yeah, I was gonna say he definitely can gank as well. Yeah.
The spin is such an effective team fight ultimate. Wukong is just J4 but tilted more towards team fights than the early ganks. We're gonna see Sivir and Kai'Sa, both early picks on the ADCs. Sivir very safe, very non-interactive ADC. You just wave clear. Kai'Sa is a much more aggressive fighting type of ADC, so I do expect that we might see an aggressive bot lane duo pickup here. We might see Kai'Sa and an aggressive engage support, an Alistar, a Braum, something like that.
When you think of like Kai'Sa, one of her biggest issues is that she lacks advantage in a lot of lanes because of her range. When you see an early pick Sivir, it's one of your favorite places to pick your Kaisas, your
like the only champion with like less range. And we're going to see a Karma.
Just so you can try and bully. And Karma's great for doing
that. And Karma, extremely strong lane bully with a lot of late game utility. Very powerful support pick that you don't see picked a lot because it is boring.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been seeing it pop up more and more in solo queue as people start leaning more and more toward these like high damage mage supports. This is like the enchanter version of that, right?
Okay, we're going to see the Nautilus come out here. This is a very strange pick here from Whale Riders. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to bring this. This is a very strange pick because if you're going to pick Sivir, you don't want to be aggressive. You don't have the range for it. And Nautilus is not the type of tank that you want to pick in a defensive lane because all of his crowd control and utility is aggressive. It's forward. So I'm in because you hook aggressively. You can't use hook to peel like you can use Braum interaction or Tom or whatever. So this is a much more aggressive engaged tank in the support role than what you would usually see with a Sivir, which would be your Rakans, your Alistars, your peel tanks.
So I agree with you. However, Sivir does have deceptively high single target damage when she is able to get on a Nautilus hook. Like Sivir actually has, I think, maybe the 4th highest single target damage in a straight 2v2 of any AD carry.
Yeah, it's just harder to access.
Fight through waves. Yeah, exactly. But Nautilus is really good at separating people from their waves and also clearing waves with Sivir's W.
Yeah.
And so their combined engage can actually get pretty spooky, especially when you're a low-range carry like Kai'Sa, who doesn't actually escape from Nautilus all that well.
Yeah, but the issue then becomes that if you land a Nautilus hook, say you land the Nautilus hook on Kai'Sa, and the Sivir moves forward to engage on the Kai'Sa, she is going to have to move into the Karma's range at that point.
Absolutely, and that's the risk you take, right? The risk you take is you get to focus all your burst. Oh,
I'm so excited to see Mord. This champion recently got changed to have an 80 ratio added to his main damage ability on his Q, which opened up his build path a lot. I think this pick is actually sleeper very, very strong right now. I've been playing it a lot in solo queue, and the option to build Sterak's, Death's Dance, Maul, Malmortius is really huge for the champion. I'm excited for this Mord pick. We're going to see a set into that. So this is another of those matchups that we just saw where these champions are going to be feeding each other's faces in during the lane phase. This is going to be a very volatile top lane.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things about this like new Mordekaiser pick is, and this is something we were talking about in our pre-private caster only show. Subscribe to our Patreon. Is that Mord now gets a lot better utility off stealing a lot of other top laner stats in team fights.
Yeah, especially that's very relevant into this set because set builds do tend to focus very heavily on stacking raw HP and AD, that Overlord's Bloodmails build, which means that that's a lot of raw stats for Mord to be vamping off of. Okay. And it's Darius top lane. It's a Mordekaiser.
No, this is Mordekaiser mid.
That's a very interesting choice. I think that they got extremely lucky in that case because Lissandra is a very playable matchup for Mord mid because she's a lower range control mage. If that was Orianna, this would be a lot worse for Mord, but I think this is actually quite playable for him. So this is a very interesting way to start the game off. That's a Darius pick, which is very aggressive in organized play.
We are fighting. And I will say, I want to give credit to Whale Riders and also...
Okay, wait a minute. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I want to give credit to Whale Riders, and I also want to give credit to Five Fangs. I do think both of their 4th picks were actually flex picks. I do think the top laner was probably ready to play Mordekaiser, should they have felt it necessary. Mm-hmm. But when they see the Lissandra there saying, oh, we can flex the Mordekaiser, we can get our top laner a matchup that he would prefer, and we can run it that way. This also, weirdly enough, I know this sounds weird, you can swap these lanes really easily based on what you see after your first back. Because
yes, you can. Mm-hmm. This is very much a matchup where if the Mordekaiser gets set behind mid and is discovering that he can't lane into Lissandra, you can just move the Darius down there.
Or alternatively, if Darius finds an early kill on set and forces a what's the item? Not Thornmail, but the
Bramble.
Yeah, forces a Bramble rush. You swap that Mordekaiser up top, it is hell for set. It is so bad.
So Whale Riders' team is very strong in the side lane, having a side lane composition of Mordekaiser and Darius, and then the mid lane is Sivir, Wukong, Nautilus. That's very difficult to find game into.
No, because that clear, there's no answer for the clear. No good answer for the clear.
There's no answer for the clear. Both of your side laners are 1v1 kings. And their team fight is actually quite strong. I can see the thought process behind the Fu Fam team fight, which is we press the Sivir ult and then run Darius into Darius and Mordekaiser in the middle of the enemy team at 10,000 miles an hour.
Just try and find one dude and just blow him up, right? Like you find one dude, you blow him up.
Not even that. It's that. What's the big issue with Darius and Mordekaiser and Juggernaut type champions in team fights?
Oh man, it's almost like they don't have mobility, and if only we could fix the mobility problem, they'd be much better.
Ultimate.
Oh, he's so right.
Fast.
He's a genius.
So I can see the game plan. I can see the game plan for Poopam. So I like that. Forge Whale Riders is comp is a lot more flexible in that it can do a lot of different things, but it's not as specialized. So I do think that if Fu Fam can find the team fight setups that they're looking for, they are going to come out on top. But Forge Whale Riders team is going to be a lot more adaptable and flexible.
For sure. I just think, so. Like it's kind of like how I think we used to see this comp a little bit more back in like maybe 2019, 2020, 2021. But like FuFam has like a death ball comp. Like we have an actual just like run at you and try and just like dump as much damage onto the first thing we touch, and then translate that into more damage on the second thing we touch, and then you can't fight us anymore, so we'll take all the stuff in front of us and then we back off and we do it again and we do it again and we do it again. Whereas like we have a more traditional what we would probably consider a more well-rounded comp coming out of FuFam, where they're just trying to play a balanced game. We can split if you need us to split. If we find an advantage, we're going to press the advantage. But we have all kinds of different things we can do. But in exchange for that flexibility, we do have to like kind of concede that Whale Riders is going to be doing really well at what they want to do.
Yep. So the thing about the FuFam team comp here is that it's full of juggernauts, and it's very much like a juggernaut in that it's really good at the thing that it wants to do, but it's not very flexible and can't do anything but the one thing.
Sorry, am I getting them mixed up? Is FuFam our juggernaut comp?
I do believe FuFam is our juggernaut comp.
Oh,
Whale
okay,
Riders
my fault.
So FuFam's juggernaut comp operates like a juggernaut in that it really just wants to move forward at you, and if you can interrupt it, it doesn't do anything. But it's stat check to interrupt it. They are a big ball of stats that's gonna run at you. You're death balling it. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Atomic Waldo currently getting flamed in the Twitch chat.
Oh no! Why are we getting
live call out?
Maybe I'm telling on myself, but I'm not actually looking at the Twitch chat. What's going on in the Twitch chat? All right, so we got FuFam, Get him Waldo, Atomic Waldo is king, God him. Hey, I'm not gonna cap. Watching Atomic Waldo scrims, Atomic Waldo is truly built different.
But we got Otto in here with an agenda. Atomic Waldo trash with anything other than Pike. Unfortunately, he trolled my ranked game.
Respect. Hey, listen, I've seen Pike players play champions that are not Pike. Sometimes it's just not pretty.
Yeah.
But it's not a
champion.
It's Pike, but with take stats.
It's Pike, but you don't get free fed 3,000 extra gold for no reason. I'm still traumatized from back when Pike kills used to give like 700 gold face.
Full kill gold.
No. It was full kill gold plus the cut. So it ended up being like making you an unbelievable amount of money. That was so stupid.
Extra gold. No, that was good.
It was 400 at first. Then they nerfed it to 200, but it started at 400.
That's insane.
Pike's cut gave a full 300 gold, and you got the kill on Pike and the assist gold on the assisting champion. So that's 400 extra. 100 from the assist, 300 bonus from Pike's cut. It was an unconscionable amount of gold to print.
That is way too many numbers. That's a lot of number.
That was back when we saw Pike mid. Remember that? The 1 year G2 made a finals run in Worlds, and then we don't talk about what happened in that finals?
Yeah. We don't talk about what happened to G2 anywhere within the past, 7-8 months, right?
All right, it looks like we're getting into the game here. We're going to see, it is going to be
Five Fangs looking awfully different today. As is High Alert. Oh, we're getting the good cheese. Oh yeah,
we are full cheesing.
Yeah. Also, I do believe that our Nautilus Juggernaut comp is Whale Riders.
Is it? My bad. Yes, I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Whale Riders get them.
She needs to flash. Okay. Yeah.
I think Nautilus should go for flash auto instead of the hook there. But
I agree. That is why I thought she needed to flash the moment she got vision.
Yeah, because I was expecting Nautilus flash auto, which roots, and then you can't flash it, and then she's just super dead. But exactly. Free flash is free flash.
Also, if her reaction time is on point, you still just trade flashes and go for the hook after, so you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we are going to be starting with a. Looks like.
Okay, yeah. So it looks like the Mordekaiser is going to go mid.
Yep,
And don't
Wukong
get me
is
wrong,
going to
while
be
this lane
pathing
is
top.
playable. Lane is playable. It's not good, right? Like you're still at a range disadvantage. Like
Okay.
you're probably not going to have a ton of kill threat past level 6.
The real answer for a lot of bruisers mid is you don't have to interact with the lane. You just move forward, abuse wave clear, and then walk away. It's mid lane. You just walk back to your tower. Don't get fucked.
exactly.
It's the pattern. Garen
Yep.
can do it. Set can do it. Mord can do it. So it realistically, when you're picking these bruisers mid, you're looking to make plays with your jungler in the 2v2, and in the lane, you're just
Oh my god,
just
he's already
blazing.
finding something though, and
Oh,
this
wow.
is a nice all in with Conquer up. He's waiting.
This is
he's
a
waiting
very
to flash.
dangerous
Oh
spot.
my god, the outplay, the
Wow.
Mordekaiser outplay where he.
Incredible play from the Mordekaiser in the mid lane here. You're not supposed to be able to find these aggressive engages, especially on Lissandra. But
They
he
call him
finds
YN
it
Sean
anyway.
Walk him down. Like he just backs the crap out of him. Juggernauts are so funny, man.
Yeah, you just get run down. The consistent damage is just too much when you're playing that Mordekaiser. If Lissandra burns her W and E,
Yeah, or doesn't have it. God forbid. Like that's what happened there, right? Is that she?
well,
burned
they're
her
level
W.
2. Yeah,
She
burn
got
her W
pulled.
doesn't have E.
Yeah,
Get screwed. Yep, and it's an understandable mistake to make because a lot of. How often do you, as the mid laner, play into Mordekaiser?
like what's your Mordekaiser experience, right?
Like how many times have you played this matchup?
Yeah.
Someone in chat is saying 4 tanks. This isn't 4 tanks. I hate to break this to you, but Mordekaiser, Darius, and Wukong are not tanks, and if you play them like they are, you will have problems. We're seeing
Those
an
are
engage
carries.
here on the bot
Those
lane.
are carries.
We
yeah,
see
it
Jarvan
looks like-
moving in for a gank, but he's backing out because it's Sivir just too safe.
Sivir, yeah, Sivir's just super safe. And it looks like we're doing the same thing. Looks like Sean is just walking up, getting another good trade. It's worth noting Lissandra's E cooldown is much, much worse than Mordekaiser's. Mordekaiser's usually at a disadvantage when it comes to spell trading in top lane because of his massive E cooldown. Lissandra,
Yeah.
one of very few champions of the game that can't really match that at all. Her E cooldown is 28 seconds, I think, at level 1, and
Yes,
it's going to
it's
stay that
massive.
way until like level 13.
But if you need to use E every time Mordekaiser uses E, skill issue?
Agree.
Dodge
agree.
it. I'm sorry.
I mean,
not that the mid laner for Fufame is failing that or anything. It's
Yeah.
just you shouldn't be
you
relying
gotta
on
figure
your
out a
E.
solution. Like this can't be happening. This cannot happen.
This is
every
fine.
time.
This is fine. It can't happen every time. I don't think the E is necessary there. You just W walk away.
Yeah,
But it's
exactly.
fine. The early mistake in an unfamiliar matchup, but you know, Mordekaiser doesn't have a lot of kill threat on you, so you can just clear the wave as Lissandra and ignore him.
Also,
Darius in the top lane here, just dominating the set early.
Yeah, doubling Seth CS early. Which, like, to be fair, Seth's not very good at contesting Darius' CS in the early game. And we're going to get another pull here from Sean.
Yep.
Is he going to land the
really
Q?
running. Oh my god,
Wow.
very
really using
excellent.
those angles. Wow.
Excellent
Very
movement
impressive.
and spacing around that tower range there.
Yeah.
But set into Darius. So Darius is, as a champion, has this like aura of you can't fight him because he's Darius. You just assume that you're gonna lose. But Set can fight him. You can absolutely win trades on Set against Darius in the top lane. But you have to do it right and look for aggressive trades. And it can be very scary to do that because it is still Darius. You will die if you screw it up.
Exactly. I think that's kind of the problem here, right? Is that it's a lot easier to maybe give up some of the CS early game before you get your resistances up a little bit after your first or second back than it is to like never make a mistake against the Darius. Although, like, to be fair, if you're going to be here in a competitive league and you're not going to try and just like outplay people, like, you know,
Yeah.
improve. Like,
All right.
all right. Looks like
we've
we've got a
got
drag contest here.
Yep. We have the Jarvan moving in. He's exploring vision in the pit with the flag. We might just see that Fu Fam chooses to give this dragon
It
because
looks
their
like
bot lane.
Mordekaiser Cryo is going to be challenged, actually. Lissandra's going to find it. And
Blue
Blue Team's
team
actually going to go
steals.
ahead and get the steal. Lissandra's going to land a 3-man snare. They're going to go ahead and try and get the kill on DeGuo. Lissandra's going to go ahead and die, but her code is going
Ward's
to go
here.
out and do a lot of damage here. It's going to explode. Nautilus is going to be chunked out. Lissandra's actually still alive on the backside. Buffon's is going to go ahead and pick up a double kill and still trying to DPS onto the Sivir. They're actually going to get a lot of damage down here. Sean's going to go ahead and try and pick up Fu Ferrets on the back end. And Lissandra's going to go ahead and make it out alive, but Sean looking to try and clean up as many of these kills as possible.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be able to find anything. So that's 2 kills and a dragon for Fufam. That's a big swing for them. They're in a very strong position right now. That's,
Especially considering they didn't even concede a wave, which was like the very least you would think they have to do in order to catch up there. Not having Prio going into the fight, but catching a good timer on the Mordekaiser back, plus Kai'Sa's relatively decent wave clear, is enough to buy them what they need.
Jarvan got a heroic steal there. I think in most situations they get the 2 kills, but they don't get the dragon. But the Jarvan steal there was really heroic to swing that from a good fight to a overwhelming.
A great fight. Yeah, I agree. I think you're absolutely right. But
While we've got a lull here, I just want to address the chat again. There's some definitional problems here that I want to talk about. So tanks are not any champions that are difficult to kill. Tanks specifically are champions that are difficult to kill and provide a large amounts of crowd control. Just to clarify, I'm not trying to flame anyone or be rude. I just want to clarify the terms that I'm using here so that the cast makes sense.
all right, I'll steel man this. Are you saying Mordekaiser does not provide large amounts of crowd control?
No, absolutely. Comparatively to champions that are actual tanks,
I would argue
Alistar
Death is the ultimate CC. That guy can no longer move because his screen is gray. All right, so it looks like we're going to go ahead and get a 4-man take on the Grubs coming out here from...
no contest.
Wait,
There's
I just realized Whale Riders abbreviation is F.
All right,
nice.
so completely uncontested Grubs for Fufam here. They're in a very strong position in this game, very ahead right now. I do want to point out 35 CS advantage.
That's Whale Riders
Oh.
who got the Grubs.
Whale Riders?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The overlay is confusing me. The Sivir is
Whale Riders is
35 CS up.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a tough lane for Kai'Sa. And also, like, Nautilus does just exert a lot of that, like, overwhelming R kind of pressure. Looks like Darius is going to go ahead and try and set up a gank here. Set appears to be unaware of what necessarily is going on. So we're going to go ahead and get the all-in from the Wukong. He's going to get the double knockups. We're going to go ahead and get Set trying to escape using his R. If he can find another knockup, the fight's going to be over. Darius finds an auto attack, a reset. He's going to actually give the kill over to
the Wukong. Very interesting. I think the thought process there is that he doesn't need any more kills to dominate the set. He's already been beating the set, so...
I would agree. That is a lot of DPS coming out from Sivir. She's actually going to turn it around and get a double kill here. Mordekaiser's going to go ahead and get a lot of damage onto Lissandra.
Can he find this?
For one more Q.
He's going to find it.
God, that's critical. Oh no! Lissandra's going to find the outplay.
Very well played from that Lissandra. Excellent spacing, dodges both E and Q, and manages to find a very cheeky W to get that kill. Wow.
You know what? And not to put too much on Sean, because Sean is an excellent player, a lot better than me. But you can't E and Q in the same spot there. You have to EQ in 2 different spots. Both spells kill, you just got to do it.
If I'm playing that scenario out on the Mordekaiser, I think the play is to just walk under tower, tank a shot, and guarantee the Q. Maybe you die for it, but I think that's the only way you guarantee the kill. Otherwise, you're just gambling.
As an experienced Volibear mid laner, Mord mid is a crazy pick. Yeah, no, I mean, hey, listen. You gotta do what you gotta do, bro. Like,
Mord, it's one of those picks where it works in matchups, certain matchups, but there are other matchups that will absolutely clown it. You can't pick Mord mid into Xerath.
Oh my god, this set is dead. Like,
Darius,
you know, and if he wasn't crushing his lane so hard, this would actually be like a prime spot where I would think about doing what I was mentioning before, which is swap up these lanes, because like rushing Ninja Tabi into this Darius makes you real weak against Mord, who not only has like a built-in speed boost to his kit, but is also going to ignore a bunch of the armor on that and steal it from you whenever he ults.
Yeah, the boot situation in top lane is interesting because so typically top laners will not pick up tier 2 boots before their first item because it delays your item spike. But if you're into these juggernaut lanes, you can pick up armor boots early as a cheese option to exchange your power spike in exchange for a much stronger laning phase. But both
safety.
top laners have chosen to handshake doing that.
Yeah, I'm interested as to why the Darius has chosen to build armor boots, and maybe that's something I'll ask Madman about later.
No, I can explain that. You have to. If you're playing Darius and the enemy top laner builds tier 2 boots early, you have to. Otherwise, the move speed differential renders you unplayable.
Oh, they just walk away from you too fast?
Yep.
Oh, okay. For sure. I respect that. Yeah.
Darius is very simple. If you are faster than the other guy, you will win the fight. If you are slower, you are screwed.
Yeah. Okay, so Lissandra seems to have figured out this lane a little bit more, but I still worry about these W's getting tanked up or these E's getting tanked up because it is tough.
Set's entire kit is not auto attacks, chat.
Nautilus ghosting in.
Armor boots are actually
not
less
much gonna
effective
happen there,
against
but Sivers gonna go ahead and get stuck in this 1v2. But she's just such a safe character. It's so hard for Karma Kaisa to actually find anything on the Sivir.
The move speed from the ultimate, the spell shield negating a lot of poke and all-in damage. It's just very difficult to find kills on Sivir. This is what the champion does really well: is free your support to go around the map while you spam wave clear.
And we hyped up Waldo in our pre-show, but like Waldo really is having a lot of impact on this game because his AD carry is allowing him to move around the map so much, right? Like even if he hasn't really appeared on the stat sheet a ton, 0-2 and 2. He's still been able to shove Lissandra out of mid lane a couple times. He's been at all 3 of the major objectives so far, even if he's only secured 2 of them. Like he's having a lot of impact on the map, and Sivir is still maintaining a 31 CS lead. And that's like the power of this type of pick. Madman is cheesing the absolute crap out of the set here, and I'm like 99% sure this is just a dead set. A TP coming in top lane just to go ahead and get Nautilus
unnecessary
going. Yeah. But that might also be the beginning of a swap, although Sivir's still walking bot. This is going to be a lot of deep vision for almost called them F word for Whale Riders here.
The gold chart is actually heavily in favor of Forge Whale Riders at almost 3k right now, which is not what you would expect looking at the kill board. I think that's just a function of the set and Sivir differences in lane. Every other lane is actually Mordekaiser's also 20 CS ahead.
Pretty big, yeah.
Only in the jungle are we seeing a CS advantage on Fufan.
For sure. And part of that is going to be that Wukong intentionally neglected some of his standard clear and got invaded by J4 on the bot side in order to double the top lane over the past couple minutes, right? So, I think they know what they were doing when they're trading away that gold. Atomic, no impact on map, turned into that guy getting his mid laner kill, warning enemy jungler, he's too clean. I mean, yeah, that's kind of what we mean, though, right? Like, when we talked about Atomic being there for all the right things, eventually it's going to turn into something a little bit more tangible, but he's been everywhere he needs to be.
Even if you're not finding picks on the Nautilus roaming, you're creating pressure.
And here we go. This is that swap we were kind of talking about, right? We're now set at a huge disadvantage because he has a bunch of wasted stats into this Mordekaiser that he can't really utilize.
Yeah, you really don't want to be looking at armor boots when you're up against more. Darius getting hugely dived, but it's Darius.
Yeah, 4 people on Darius, but is still able to find his way out just because he hasn't had to blow his summoner spells throughout the game.
Forces out the flash, forces his back, and they're going to look to rotate that into a Rift Herald.
Honestly, if he sweet spotted Decimate there on 3 people, he would have turned that fight. That's also.
I was waiting for the hook. I was expecting the flash tower hook. But...
So we're going to go ahead and get a Rift Herald here. It is going to go over to blue team, which I believe is going to make them 2-2 on the Feats of Warfare in terms of objective taking, which means this next dragon is going to matter a lot. I'm not 100% sure who actually has the kills feat, but I would assume it's been Whale Riders. And that's going to make the next objective really, really important here. And maybe let's talk a little bit more about this bot lane, though, right? I know we haven't addressed it a ton. Both bot laners have 2 kills. Pharah actually has a kill herself. But there's a 30 CS lead for the Sivir, and I'm not
Yeah,
sure how
this
you
is-
feel about the scaling, but they really want the Sivir online, I think.
Oh yeah, Sivir scales very, very well. She you can't really consider her a hyper scaling champion just because the range is so short and it can be so punishing. But she does scale very well. I mean, it's still an ADC, and
Mhm.
you can't push Sivir in. Like you have to kill
No.
Sivir before you can push.
Yeah.
So
I will say, even though she does have short range, I do consider Sivir a hyper carry. It's just that her circumstances are a little bit more specific than a lot of other ones, but her ultimate makes up for so much of that in terms of like
if
getting
you
her
look
that space she needs.
if you look at the kits, we're getting into a fight here, and it looks like
Yeah. Let's talk about the fight. So it looks like we're gonna get a full 3v5. Looks like Atomic World is gonna go down first. They're gonna go ahead and trade it back for Ms. Mordred, but Wukong's ulting the backline. Gonna get a lot of CC down here. We're gonna go ahead and get the Mordekaiser with stolen stats onto the entire backline. Looks like Lissandra's gonna ultimately make it out, and looks like we're gonna go ahead and trade 3 for 2 in favor of Whale Riders, but that's not counting the fact that Darius is on the top side and exerting a ton of pressure on the top side tier 2, and Whale Riders is going to make it out with the dragon here.
yeah, very cleanly played from Well Riders, really taking advantage of that Darius being free to be on the top side, and the fact that their team fight is just really strong if you have to walk into them.
Yeah.
Even at like a man disadvantage, it's very difficult to walk into Mordekaiser, Sivir, Nautilus.
It is, and the thing is, like, I think one of the reasons why I consider Sivir hyper carry is because of things like that, where like she gets so much utility out of her ulti, especially like as her ulti gets stronger, which it does as levels go on. Like her post 40-minute win rate is the highest of almost any AD carry in the game, except for like Kog'Maw.
Right, but that's not
Yeah.
because Sivir is solo carrying the game with her damage, which is what you expect from a hyper carry.
No,
Sivir is
it's
it's like how Ashe actually looks like she scales really well, even though her damage scaling is not as good as other crit ADCs, just because
but it
the
looks-
utility of
Yes,
having
exactly.
Ashe is better.
And it becomes more and more valuable. But it looks like Sean's actually able to 1v1 the Mordekaiser out of range, but they're going to go ahead and trade immediately back. Well Riders is going to go ahead and pick up the kill right back on the set. They're ultimately just not going to lose anything, though, because Sivir's wave clear is so strong. They just can't stop her from protecting this mid turret. Darius
Yeah.
is getting into a fight here with the jungler and the AD carry, but they can't really engage on him because they're afraid of him legitimately
Yeah,
just 2v1.
it's Darius.
Yeah,
It's Darius. He's got a stride breaker. That guy will kill you.
yeah, absolutely.
This is really what you want to see when you're running this kind of aggressive stat ball comp. Is you want to be like ahead early.
Nope.
You need to.
There's an engage. Lissandra's going to go ahead and find the Sivir. The Sivir's ultimately going to die. Nautilus is going to try and walk away, but Karma is going to unload all the CC on him. Going to take a couple turret shots, but it's not enough. Fufons is going to go ahead and take down 2 people in the mid lane, and then we've got another fight breaking out bot. We've got a really bad position for the Wukong here while he tries to
Yeah.
split, but he gets caught in the J4 ulti. Set is kind of stuck outside of it. He's going to dash to the crush to try and find his way out. He's got a move speed bonus, but ultimately it's not enough. They're going to go ahead and get the
Yep,
spike
they're
down
gonna
on
take him down.
Dragon Dragon. That's going to be a shutdown on Deshaun. Huge
Yep.
swing for Fruit
That's
Fan.
a solo queue play. You're a jungler. Don't be split pushing. Come on.
No,
Come on.
my junglers love to split push him. Bronze
Yeah,
mode.
not your job. Wukong is like the 4th guy who should be alone in a lane on this team. We've got Darius, we've got Mordekaiser, we've got Sivir. You should not be putting Wukong there. It's just a macro misplay. Unfortunate you lose Wukong, but there aren't any jungle objectives to be contested right now, so
I
not the
mean,
end of the world.
that is a huge fight for Fruit Fan, though. The amount of gold they get, the amount of map pressure they're able to steal back,
Yes. The
especially
fight
with the Sivir dead for like 5 seconds, is just
Yeah, the Sivir pick is huge because that unlocks the ability to actually get map pressure. When Sivir's
Yeah.
alive, she sort of exerts a constant pressure on every lane just by her existence and how easily she can clear. But when she's dead, that's your opportunity to actually get macro pressure.
yeah, for sure.
Unfortunately, this Darius is such a thorn in their sides because top lane is constantly just Darius is walking up to that inhib tower, and you have to send 2 people to stop him.
And right now, Fruit Fan is positioning towards Otacon, trying to make it the next contested objective. But they don't really know where Darius is, and Set has to recall. before the wave even gets halfway to river because of how scared he is of the Darius. And the Darius is going to walk right up to that wave that's already in enemy territory and exert so much pressure that he has to attract Fufam down, which is going to let Sivir push out, which is going to translate into a little bit more Otacon pressure, which so on, so forth, right?
Yeah, the pressure that you get out of this Juggernaut comp in the macro is very, very strong just because it's so hard to walk up to them.
Okay, and it looks like Seth's going to go ahead and stat check the Darius, but it looks like Darius is still winning the stat check, yeah.
Stat check as Darius takes 300 damage.
Yeah, exactly.
We're getting a full engage here on the bot side of the map, and it looks like Wukong is going to go down again.
Just getting caught out. Too far ahead. Man. Your teammates are not close. Sivir's going to go ahead and trade this mid lane turret. But it looks like Otacon's going to go down for Fufam here just because...
I don't know. I mean, Mordekaiser's there, and it's Otacon. It's the throw machine, so...
That's true. That's true. It is a little bit spooky, but they're going to go ahead and get the TP from Ms. Mordred.
We're going to see an exhaust go down.
Oh, but we've got to trade a TP from the Darius, the Juggernaut himself, the guy.
Mordekaiser gets the ult on the Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa finds a flash over into the Dragon Pit with an interesting position, so Mordekaiser can't follow up. He's going to
Mordekaiser can't really follow up. And Mordekaiser can land one Q here to try and get some of this health back, but it's not going to be enough. Lissandra's going to go in. She's going to W and Zhonya's herself so that she's able to get out clean. And that's just not enough. Madman is not going to be able to deal enough damage. Sivir just doesn't have the DPS right now to be able to change the fight. Blue team is going to take the Thornbound Otacon, and that's going to be huge. And,
yep, very, very big.
Yeah,
Otacon is the throw machine. Every time you see it cleared, someone's throwing.
Fufam is finding really like a ton of pressure out of every pick they make, right? As ridiculous as the what's a good word? As ridiculous as the amount of like static heavy pressure that Whale Riders comp exerts, whenever they do find a weakness, Fufam is really, really putting it on them. And that is going to be a dragon over to Forge Whale Riders. But frankly, that's not really what you want to be trading here for all that they had to give up, right?
Yeah, it's not the worst. It does put them on 3 dragons. That does mean that they have the threat of Dragon Soul hovering. So that does give them some more pressure on the map. But they really do have to stop getting picked.
Yeah, I mean, it is really important, especially considering... Like when I know we've been talking about pressure and we keep using the same word, but it's the best word for it. Whale Rider's entire team is contingent on pressure outside the team fights, right? They want to pressure your lanes. They want to pressure the amount of champions you send in any one place at any given time, right? They just want to make it to where like you can't figure out a good way to respond to them at any given time. That's going to be a huge W coming out from
Kai'Sa's coming in here in a suicide move.
No, absolute suicide run from the Kai'Sa. But it looks like she's going to get a lot of damage onto the Mordekaiser. Guo is going to suicide once again. And that's another kill going over to the Lissandra. And
that looked like a suicide move from the Kai'Sa, but she I guess she was aware. And the Darius is not showing up to these fights. Darius is huge right now, but he's just not participating in any of these fights. He's split pushing when his TP is down, and Fufam are finding fights where they have the numbers advantage. So they're managing to find it.
Even though they win that fight, or they trade that fight, they also lost more turrets. Yeah, and bot tier 2. They lost bot tier 2 in the exchange as well. They didn't get anything for like they got no resources off the map for it.
They got top tier 1.
Yeah, I think it was top tier 1 not already down.
No, it wasn't. They just cleared.
Okay. I'm still just not sure. I love the trade.
No, it wasn't a good trade, not at all from their side. Whale Riders has a very strong comp, but they have to be 5 for it. Like Sivir and Darius are constantly split, and they need to be looking to not take fights when they're split. The pick was good, but the continued fight afterwards, as soon as you see that Kai'Sa ult in, even us as casters, we thought she was inting, but no, it turns out her entire team was there, and that's the kind of thing you have to like expect if you see that kind of play. Yeah. You have to respect your opponent. You have to go, okay, I know that this guy is not stupid enough to kill himself here, so their team must be coming.
Or how about not? But if they just,
I mean, yeah, you can just run it.
You could just be Guo and just like decide to go in 1v4 and die.
Wukong, monkey see, monkey do.
Hey man, see ball, get ball. You know what I'm saying?
So now both teams are pressuring
I'm unafraid. Like
Both teams are now pressuring around Baron. We do have the Darius on bot side. Darius and Set both have TP up, so both of them can be on this fight if it happens.
So this is kind of what Rail Riders picks the comp for, right? So they can set up a 1-3-1 right here. Just like Sivir catching waves in the mid lane. Darius takes the enemy jungle, pops out for a wave every 2 minutes, and Mordekaiser forces down top doing the exact same thing. And they try and translate that into enough side lane pressure on one side to where they can TP and take an objective. With this dragon being the fourth one, if they concentrate those TPs towards the top side, they can force a trade with the next dragon spawn.
Yeah, the map is very strong for Forge Well Riders right here. They do have the split pressure of Dragon Soul and Baron. They've got a good lane position with the Sivir and the 1-3-1 with Darius and Mordekaiser. It's looking good for them, but that's what we've said, and then Fufam manages to find fights anyway. So it really comes down to Fufam managing to find those fights, or if Forge Rail Riders can play around it properly. Let's keep an eye on this Wukong.
And it's worth noting that right here from Mordekaiser, we do have the full AP build. I know we've been anticipating a non-zero amount of AP.
The death dance. Come on.
But he is really strong right now. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Very strong.
Is going to choose to force Baron here.
This is a mistake.
Which is really interesting.
Set's on the bot side.
Set has TP. They only have 4. They don't have the ability to get to 5. Darius is directly on top of the Kai'Sa. Oh, this is looking bad. Guo is still going to miss the ulti, but that's going to be a huge knockup coming in.
Set
landing a huge W. Sivir's going to have to go ahead and kite her way out. And
we stood in a circle.
Wait, one fight for Fufam. 5v5.
Well, Riders, unfortunately, I'm sorry, guys. Hard throw. Don't stand in the big circle. That's the power of the Set W right there. Is in those really chaotic melee team fights where everybody's sitting on top of everybody, and it's so hard to dodge, and you just land. You know, he probably did 6,000 true damage in that last fight. It's the Set stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it looks like they're going to be able to translate this into another dragon as well, which. Again, only their second dragon, so it's not going to alleviate all the pressure, but like the amount of gold they just gained, the fact that they might be able to take some standing gold on the map here, this is that was potentially a game-winning fight for Fufam right here. And it's very important noting, as powerful as Juggernauts are, especially in split push, like side lanes and in terms of pressure, once they hit this point in the game where they kind of start having to build these defensive items in order to stay alive as the other team's DPS increases, they do kind of become weaker in terms of exerting that 1v1 availability, right?
I mean, yes, that is true. Darius is still going to 1v1 anyone on Fufam. Like, he's going to build a death stance here, and he's still going to 1v1 the Lissandra. Like, the Lissandra cannot walk up to him in a 1v1. But they are going to see a lot of drop off in terms of the strength of their team fight after we see, I think, the 4th item come out on Kai'Sa, and we start seeing like 3rd and 4th item purchased across the board, because the free stats that you get as a Juggernaut from your kit start being less impactful when you've already got a bunch of stats.
Of course, just because like the gold efficiency of a Juggernaut kit is less and less important as the game goes on, because the gold accrual starts mattering more, right?
Yeah,
like we're gonna get a fight between Darius and Set in the top lane, but it looks like Whale Riders is actually gonna call the team over this time, and it's gonna go well for them. They're gonna go ahead and get a kill on Nemez Mordred.
But we're gonna lose the mid lane turret for it.
They are gonna trade the mid lane turret for it, but I don't think that Fufam is gonna be able to find 2 turrets here, because the Sivir wave player is gonna be good enough.
He's gonna engage on the Lissandra.
That's an engage on the Lissandra. Lissandra should be able to find a way out with her E. She's going to go ahead and fade towards the bot lane, and they're not going to give too much chase here. It looks like they're going to focus on the wave, take the kill. Oh, but Nautilus is stepping up. Lissandra can't find a way out here. She's already hit her Zhonya's. She could potentially have an ulti here, but she's still just standing still. She's waiting on her E cooldown. It's not going to be enough. She's going to get knocked around by the Nautilus. The Mordekaiser is still finding more and more damage here, and it's going to go all onto the Karma. Karma is dead. That is a huge fight for Whale Riders.
Yep, very important fight. Good pick to find on the Lissandra. Nautilus forcing out her E with the hook in, and then positioning very intelligently to follow up as soon as he can. Well played there from Atomic Waldo, who is constantly getting glazed in chat. Right now, it looks like both teams are going to be just getting the lanes cleaned and pushed in. Yeah. It's too dangerous to take a fight because any fight that you lose at this point, a full team wipe is going to result in the end of the game here, especially against that Sivir or Kai'Sa's tower damage isn't that great, but
Okay, so let's take a little bit of stock here, right? Let's look at some gold and some items. Kai'Sa appears to be going with the full AD build. Not really going with full on hit, although she does have cracking Guinsoo's Terminus. She has elected to build a Bloodthirster for a little bit of extra survivability. Silver
I'm not an ADC expert, but you don't normally buy Bloodthirster when you're doing this item build, right? Normally you would go for Bork as your lifesteal item, because what are you lifestealing off of your 200 AD base autos?
Actually, Bork is weak enough right now to where normally you just build Jonas and it offers you more damage. But we're going to get another fight here. Looks like it's going to be a full 5v5 from both teams. They're just both going to say, we're going to walk it down and see who's going to die. Mid laner is going to go ahead, Lissandra's going to go ahead and get out on the back end, but Kai'Sa's going to go ahead and get a triple kill. She's just got so much damage. Seth's going to go ahead and get the ulti out, but it's just not going to be enough.
Seth's going to, yep. Kai'Sa's going to get the quad here. Or nope. It's going to be it. Yeah, so the Juggernaut comp has been outscaled, so this is going to get very difficult for Forge Whale Riders very quick.
Especially since they don't really have good answers to Kai'Sa when she's able to kite them out, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the weaknesses of playing the Juggernaut comp, is that as the ADC scales, Juggernauts are innately weak to people moving around them without them being able to respond in kind with more of their damage. And Kai'Sa is one of the best AD carries at doing that, with like 2 full resets, mixed damage in order to combat their health items. And also, this particular build does have a lot of on-hit going on, and this lifesteal matters a lot when Juggernauts are kind of just doing enough to kill you and not much more than that, if they get their hands on it.
Yep. The Juggernauts are simply going to get outscaled at this point. Their team fight contribution is going to get a lot weaker because Kai'Sa is going to reach the point where she just kills Darius in 3-4 seconds. So it looks like both teams are going to be looking to contest this dragon, which does make sense. It's Forge Whale Riders' best hope to get back into this is to secure the Dragon Soul.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Dragon Soul is a big equalizer. We're looking at, forgive me for not knowing League of Legends things, but the freaking Chemtech Soul. But we're going to get engaged directly onto the Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser's just going to pop immediately. Kai'Sa's damage is kind of unmatched right now. She's doing so much. The Nautilus is also going to die. Kai'Sa's just going to go directly to the entire team. Her DPS is just nothing that Whale Rider can replicate. She's just going to take down another 3, and just like that, another 1 fight for the Vu fam.
Yep. Kai'Sa is just outscaling. You can't get on top of her because the team is coordinated. Once the ADC outscales you, you can't fight back as the Juggernaut comp. That's why you don't see this comp played a lot in coordinated, organized play, even though it destroys you in solo queue, is because the ADC is just going to rip you a new one.
Yeah, teams are much better getting to 3-4 items because they're willing to protect more. Games move a little bit slower, even if they're high kill like this one. Like, they still progress slowly because people are so coordinated in their movements, even if their gold is accelerated. And so, like, at this point, Kai'Sa is building. Jesus Christ, I don't know what. Is that a Warmhog?
That's a Jack show.
Oh no, he is unkillable.
That's the right. That is 100% the correct decision. This Kai'Sa.
I agree.
No, she already has a Jack. Oh, she just finished the Jack show.
She just finished it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, she's sitting on 6 items. This Kai'Sa is gigantic. You're going to have an unbelievably difficult time killing her. This is a really, really rough spot for Forge Whale Riders. They really have to find something right now.
Now, normally I'd ask this question, but I think I actually have the answer to it. If it comes to getting back in this game, it's actually not that hard on paper for Whale Riders to do. They need to pick the Kai'Sa. If they can eliminate the Kai'Sa from a 5v5 early, or on a pick, the fight is still eminently winnable. So much of this build is concentrated on her. So much of the team is built around her. If they can just get her down, it's fine. But they lack. Oh my God, the Kai'Sa's going to go ahead and get hooked in by the Darius, but they just can't kill her.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter at all. She's just doing so much damage. She's already
You
in the
can't-
entire team, and she's just even though she's so close range, she's slaughtering for free. The entire team's dead. She ultimates the Darius underneath 2 turrets. She's gonna go ahead and pick up that kill as well.
Yeah,
And
I'm
that's
gonna
probably just gonna be the entire game.
I'm going to go ahead and make the least bold prediction of all time and say FuFam is going to clear up their first week here at the Prime Metal League with a win on game 1. So, yeah, this one really just comes down to got outscaled.
And
It's
I
so
want to say,
difficult to get on that Kai'Sa because there's you have
Yeah.
no way to get Darius and Mordekaiser on her.
oh my god, the Darius actually does a billion damage though. Like,
Yeah, he does.
That guy. Oh my god, wait, somebody help him. Wait.
No,
Yes.
FuFam. All right, so it looks like we got another 5 minutes here. So FuFam is not going to pick this one up yet. Forge
No,
Well
not
Riders
quite yet.
still have a 5% chance. They can do it.
I mean,
Technically.
Darius really showing you like the character does a lot. Like,
Yeah, if you're in melee distance. Getting into melee distance of Kai'Sa is the hard part.
yeah, of course, that's the hard part. I mean, he landed the pull in the last fight, right? And it just didn't do anything. Like,
Yeah, but in the 5v5, landing the pull's not enough because you have to be next to Kai'Sa, and so does the rest of your team. That's the hard
and you
part.
can't get peeled off immediately. And the team is doing an excellent job of peeling the Kai'Sa off.
Yes,
Or getting Kai'Sa out.
FuFam are playing around their ADC excellently right now. Really putting in a strong performance on the Kai'Sa here from Fufons, which makes sense. You know, we're going to play around the guy who has the same name as the team.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have 3 Foos though. So like, you got Fu Fawns, you got Fu Ferrets, and then they have like a sub named Fu Life or something.
True.
Just a little lore for y'all, you know.
And we're going to look at the slow portion of this late game. We're getting into the part of the game where teams push and push and push until there's an objective.
Well, this is wait for objective time, right? This is, although
Yeah.
I will say this probably benefits Whale Riders because it's going to let a couple of their characters hit 4 and 5 items when FuFam is kind of already at their peak. Like,
Yeah, Kai'Sa's
not
capped.
getting much better. Kai'Sa's capped.
She's not getting stronger, so every second that the game goes on further, Forge Well Riders gets a little closer.
Theoretically, but it looks like they're going to look for a pick onto the Darius up top here. They're really chasing him, potentially getting themselves out of position on this mid lane. Luckily, these super minions are going to do a reasonable job pushing for them, but maybe not good enough. Sivir's wave clear is still absurd. even
Yeah,
at this
it's
point in
still
the game.
Sivir.
Yeah, that's pretty good position bot side for Whale Riders. And with only 41 seconds on this dragon, they might actually have Prio here. They're going to go ahead and send Lissandra down the mid lane to see if they can get a little bit of that back. Oh, it looks like they're just going to go for the win.
Yeah, they're just going to push to end
Yeah,
here. Darius
no,
is caught
that's the win,
recalling. The
that's the
entire
win.
team's going to, yeah, they're over.
Huge misposition from
Kai'Sa ends.
Whale Riders here, and that's just going to be the Nexus getting taken down. A little bit anticlimactic, but that's what happens when you overplay your hand, right? Like, you got to recognize that you just have an open Nexus and walk it down.
Yep. Good showing, an excellent attempt, a very strong early game from the Juggernaut team comp, but unfortunately runs out of gas in the late game, and we come to a close with a FuFam victory for our second game here.
So let's take a look. Any shopkeeper losses this game?
Let's see. Mordekaiser, where's your death dance? Nothing egregious in this one. Like, what else are you gonna build on these Juggernaut champions aside from what we see here?
I've got some inside information from winning top laner Majora that's telling me that Darius lost to shopkeeper.
Oh yeah, what's his
according to
buy?
Majora, they're saying no ghost can't play, no dead man's, no death dance.
Okay, yeah, Death's Dance is definitely should have been purchased. Dead Man's is a very important. You can see Darius going for it here in the end screenshot.
Yeah, but
Um,
especially in an environment like that, right, where you're like not really getting burst down, and you do need the movement speed. I
Yeah,
can
that
see going-
ghost.
Yeah, and also I do think Deadman's is like a pretty good idea here. Like going Deadman's instead of this Death Dance. Maybe going Death Dance first when the Kai'Sa becomes more and more of a problem.
Yeah, my big issue is you don't need that Spirit Visage. The mid laner is Lissandra.
Majora has officially called another top laner in the league, specifically Madman, quote unquote, a super minion.
Yeah, Darius with no ghost, you do be doing that.
No. Yeah, he's saying you don't need TP because you're so strong in these stage. Like you can just reset for free. Steel caps are pretty bad. Believes you need tenacity.
You don't take TP on Darius for lane. You take TP on Darius so that you can actually split in the late game without completely screwing your team's ability to do anything.
I think what Majora is saying though,
you just don't take TP on Darius'
ability to do anything, and you trade that for in him.
Yeah, I wouldn't take TP on Darius, but
probably taking Ghost. But
I will point out, not losing to Shopkeeper because you do not purchase summoner spells from the shop.
Yeah, purchasing summoner spells. That's why you take unsealed spellbook on your Darius.
Oh yeah. Conquerors for losers. All right. So.
But that being said, obviously, congratulations to Fu Fam. Really fighting it out after what looked like a really volatile and potentially messy early game. Figuring out their win condition, really sticking to the Kai'Sa. And let's just say, like, excellent performance coming out there from, from the entirety of Fu Fam. But I just want to highlight, we really, really saw a lot of DPS coming out from Fu Fam, right? Like,
yeah, this has been the ADC's day.
Entire team fights. Yeah,
this has really been the day of the ADCs. Both games, we have game-changing play from one ADC.
But Fu Fam's almost being like on the opposite end, right? Where like we saw Five Fangs play through Gogeta, and admittedly, it's not something we'd seen them do before, right? But they played through Gogeta, and the entire game. Up until like maybe 25-30 minutes when they finished their third and fourth items, Fu Fam was just playing weak side and just trying to catch farm where they could, 30 CS behind basically the entire time, and just looking to get it in where they could. And eventually they realized, like probably in comms, if we were to hear those, you'd hear Fu Fam tell the rest of his team like, hey, I've hit Terminus, I think I can like carry these fights. We'll figure it out at the next dragon, the one that doesn't matter as much. When they realized he was really DPSing, they're like, okay, now we have this win condition. We're just going to press it, right? That's where we see things like when we said that Baron Force was probably ill-advised, they knew that they could lean on that Kai'Sa, right? They knew that they could lean on that set in order to try and get that game to
okay, well, that Baron Force was still very sketchy, but that it was just set won that fight. I don't know if that like should have happened. If that was correct play, but it did work.
Even if it's not correct play, right? The fact that they had the balls to call it and follow through on it tells you that they were at least.
It shows a lot of confidence, and they had a plan. Yeah. It was very well played by Fu Fam. Yeah, both teams came into this game looking strong, like they had a plan. Just one plan won.
Yeah, for sure. And just worth noting, like they both tried to play to their win conditions. It's just that. Sometimes the win condition of defaulting, like leaning on that late game, can be a little bit easier to execute. It is really, really hard to push an aggressive early game to end before a certain break point, even in coordinated play.
Yeah. All right. Also, for everybody spamming in chat that you want an Atomic Waldo interview, hang around until the after your match show because we will be doing player interviews.
For sure.
For the moment, I'm gonna be handing the casting slot over to Kevin for the third. Game here. I'll be back for the post-game show where all three of us will be here. But thanks for casting with me, Kazi. It was a great time.
Yeah, for sure. No, I had a great time as well. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I was more worried if it went till like 8 o'clock. Yeah.
All right, Kevin, you're up.
Yeah. Hey.
If you need to pee, now's the time. See you. I will be back at the end of the game.
You know what? It for sure is because I need to refill my water. So.
Yep. I'll be here. See you guys.
Yeah, thanks so much again to the Ochromancer for being a great cast. Again, if you're a big fan of the Ochromancer, stick around for after our last game of day one for Prime Meta League, and you'll get to see him interact with some of the players in our league for post-game interviews and post-game shows. So stick around. if you'd like to see that. But for now, please grab some water, take a bathroom break, and we'll be back shortly for our last game of the night, which is Team Nautilus against Rift Walkers. So get ready for that, as we got a banger coming up soon.
Are we live? Question.
Spilled your drink? Quick, grab Bounty. Bounty picks up spills quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent than the next leading brand, so you can use less and get back to soaking up some tunes. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
É desse jeito, é desse jeito. Só leva chifre quem não faz amor direito. É desse jeito, é desse jeito. Só leva chifre quem não faz amor direito. Só leva chifre quem não faz amor direito. E mais um.
Camisinha ruim, quase não satisfaz. Mas hoje eu tô vendo a falta que ela me faz. Camisinha ruim, quase não satisfaz. Mas hoje eu tô vendo a falta que ela me faz.
Camisinha ruim, quase não satisfaz. Mas hoje eu tô vendo a falta que ela me faz. Camisinha ruim, quase não satisfaz. Mas hoje eu tô vendo a falta que ela me faz. Como ficar rico se nós tem... Como ficar rico se nós tem pensão demais? Eu vou lá no sapo, me chama de pai. Na igrejinha me chama de pai. Se eu... E como ficar rico se nós...
Me faz eu me faz eu me faz eu
Mais um.
Camisinha ruim, quase não satisfaz. Mas hoje eu tô vendo a falta que ela me faz. Camisinha ruim, quase não satisfaz. Mas hoje eu tô vendo a falta que ela me faz.
Como ficar rico se nós tem... Como ficar rico se nós tem pensão demais? Eu vou lá no sapo, me chama de pai. Na igrejinha me chama de pai. Se eu...
Okay, everyone, welcome back to our last game of day 1 of Prime Meta League. I hope everyone's been enjoying the game so far and you took a nice break. In our last game of today, we have Team Nautilus against the Rift Walkers. So today, joining me as the switching over from play-by-play to colorcaster is Kazi Baker, and the first couple bands we're seeing is the Aurelian Soul and the Zed banned out by Team Nautilus, and the Azir banned by Rift Walkers. Kazi Baker, what are we thinking of the band so far?
So far we've seen like a lot of priority on Yunara, like myself and Okermancer were discussing previously. Looks like Rift Walker is going to put pretty high priority on Azir as well, which means they're kind of pigeonholed the banning Yunara unless they're willing to trade it for 2 characters, which is something we've been talking about the entire day. Like, which 2 characters can you realistically trade for Yunara? And we're not sure those 2 characters exist.
Yeah, it seems like the Yunara prio has been so highly, important in every single game we've seen, both in today and in the scrims, right? We see this hyper carry scaling champion with tons of mobility in the late game, a good early game skirmishing, and there you go. Like you said, Team Nautilus picks up Yunara for their first pick as their blind, so that will be going to, I believe, Bread.
Yeah, you just gotta snap that off. It is arguably the biggest difference maker in the game. Like we were talking about earlier, it might not be the actual straight up most powerful character in the game, but the delta between Yunara and the next best AD carry is just so big. And I can't imagine Riftwalker's plan is to really trade Aphelios for the Yunara. Maybe for whatever reason they have a belief in this as a counter pick or something like that, or they have a plan that we don't, which is very possible, right? These are all excellent players. But trading away this Yunara is going to potentially have some pretty lasting consequences, especially as they try and contest early objectives.
Right. Yeah, we're seeing the trade being the Aphelios and the second pick being the Victor. So we see a lot of late game scaling power picks for Riftwalkers. We've seen the Aphelios in the scrims before with that long range Calibrum sniper rifle being able to outrange in the early game. And we've seen the Victor become a late game scaling menace, especially earlier today. We saw that Arcane Storm, once it hit 3 items, it was taking over the team fights. As we go over to Team Nautilus, we're going to see the support pickup is going to be the Braum.
And this is huge, right? Braum is just like such a great character to pair with Yunara. Like the big delta between Yunara and a lot of other AD carries is early pressure. And Braum is just one of those characters that can that can roam, that can pressure, that can even play from behind. And it's still very, very effective. Like one of the best CC skills in the game with his passive. And between him and Yunara, this Aphelios potential Soraka lane is going to be under a lot of pressure. Not to mention, this Gragas pick, potentially a flex. Not really sure where this is going. But Riftwalker's coming out with this Soraka tells us that we're going to see a lot of passivity in this lane. They're going to try and out-sustain the pressure coming out from Yunara and Braum and avoid any all-ins. Really playing this, like, full, like, just sit under turret, farm it out, try and outscale kind of composition, which I kind of respect. A lot of AD carries are able to catch up to Yunara somewhat reasonably in the late game, even though she is obviously still powerful there. She's not markedly more powerful than most other AD carries when it comes to like hitting that 4th, 5th, 6th item. Although she does tend to be more powerful for the first 25, 30 minutes of the game. But it looks like
Totally
no,
agree.
go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say totally agree. I mean, Yunara and Aphelios have similar late game power. It's a lot of that. Soraka is gonna be probably likely the early game bridge that gets Aphelios to that late game scaling, powerhouse, right, with the different gun combinations. And just looking at the bans here for the jungle, it's jungle and I believe top or mid lane left for Nautilus and Riftwalker. So we see the bans from the Jarvan, which has been a really highly contested pick today. We see the ban of the Hecarim, which I believe is the main for the Riftwalkers jungler. And then lastly, we have 2 top lane bans from Riftwalkers banning out, I believe it's Frozen Ace in the top lane with the Ambessa and the Renekton.
Yeah, and
on Riftwalkers, Renekton and Ambessa, as we see the Olaf being picked up by Riftwalkers. What are we expecting? This is a kind of a bit of a niche pick for the top lane or the jungle. What are we seeing with this Olaf, Kazi?
well, eliminating this Renekton tells me that they wanted to blind pick something somewhat specific, but opting into this Olaf, which is a relatively counterable champion, is going to be a little bit tough, especially since it looks like Nautilus is going to go ahead and try and pick up this Camille here in order to counter this Olaf. Now, it's not a strict counter pick, right? Camille tends to do a lot better against like scaling tanks and things like that. However, this is going to be what I would consider a skill matchup, right? They're both going to try and match up, fight each other, and see what really plays out from there. I expect to see a lot of 1v1 going on in the top lane. However, we are not sure exactly what the jungle looks like for either of these teams. Both of them have saved their jungle counter pick for last. Vi is a huge pickup for Nautilus. It is so good into Aphelios, so good into Victor, and Soraka is not very good at peeling it off of her carries. It's going to be really hard for them to play through this Vi if they don't have both their carries online for most of the game. And that coupled with the Camille dive is going to mean backline is going to be really hard to maintain. But Darius,
actually, so we're probably going to see either Darius or Olaf jungle. It's actually going to be a flex pick for Riftwalkers, as we're not sure who's going where. But yeah, you're right. We have so much dive with the Vi, with the Camille onto the Riftwalkers backline. But Riftwalkers say, hey, we'll take the dive, and they pick 2 meatballs as their 2 final picks that can really tough it out and scrap with the Camille Vi and get in front of their face as they're jumping on this, immobile backline of the Aphelios Victor. So we have a solid front line, a solid support champion that can spam out the heals, and it'll be up to Team Nautilus to really push the pace of this game and see if they can really send it on the back line and get the win.
The more I'm looking at Rift Walker's team, the more I'm pretty confident this is going to be an Olaf jungle, though. Trying to look for those early skirmishes with the Vi, where he's actually advantaged because Vi's DPS early is not actually the greatest. He's also going to look pretty good when he's trying to run around and look for these skirmishes in the jungle. But I'm really interested to see how this Gragas mid plays into this Victor.
Yeah,
I
it's gonna be
think-
super crazy because yeah, Gragas no range, but a lot of kill setup, especially for that Vi against the mobile Victor, right? What are we expecting to see out of this matchup?
Honestly, I'm always in favor of ranged champions in the melee matchups, right? But Gragas has historically been a relatively decent mid laner, top laner, especially when it comes to surviving and eventually out utilitying a lot of these like higher DPS mages. He's very, very disruptive in team fights, right? And if they're going to play towards this Yunara, he's excellent at peel. He's going to be really good for getting Darius off of people. And he does a reasonable amount of damage, even if he's not one-shotting people like it's Season 2 all over again.
Yeah, it's not going to be the full AP one shot like we've seen all the way back in maybe season 1 or 2, but yeah, Gragas, as you've talked about before, a bit of a neutralizer in the lane, right? But I think Victor, as a champion, is very happy to scale and kind of farm up the upgrades with his passive. So as a Victor player, I think he's pretty happy to not have a super aggressive matchup. He can, focus on wave clear and hopefully match the roams. But yeah, out of the two players that we want to see on Riftwalkers versus Nautilus, I think one of the big things that we were talking about is the mid jungle matchup. So we have Winter, I believe, on a control mage and Magician on more of that different pick. So it's going to be interesting. Or sorry, Winter will be on the Gragas, which is not exactly a control mage, and Magician picking the Victor. So it'll be a switch up of that matchup there.
I am excited to see Winter play this Gragas, just because when it comes to like exciting playmakers, I think Gragas is pretty up there. It's kind of like that Vel'Koz thing where like you can create some really interesting angles with a lot of your skill shots, and like some of the setups are just like kind of insane. I'm not sure if Winter's that kind of player, but it would be really cool to see some of that come out today. Even if it's just once or twice in the game, just seeing like a big Gragas ult or a big like ulti Q combo or E into like the rest of my team, or just any of the random Gragas technology that you see sometimes in like those solo Q clips from China, right?
Yep. I mean, the Gragas is kind of very much a skill expressive matchup. You're not going to win lane by just out farming the Victor. You're going to really have to make creative plays with the explosive cast, with the body slam, with the priority on that ability, right? You can cancel so many different abilities with it. You can cancel, different dashes and different spells. So it's going to be up to Magician to really work his magic with that Victor to dodge, those key engages with his fancy feet, because the Victor has no escape, and then it's going to be up to Winter to kind of ice out the competition with the explosive cask into the combo. So let's see which mid laner ends up being the best at pulling off the magic. But looking at the mid lane, now that we've looked at the mid lane, looking at the jungle, how do we expect this matchup to go? It's going to be a bit of an interesting one, because the mid jungle was a big point that we talked about in Meta Shift earlier today.
So when I think of Olaf, I don't think of like your traditional high gank attached at the hip to support / mid objective focused jungler that you usually see in coordinated play. When I see Olaf jungle, I think somebody came to throw hands. Somebody wants to run the fade. They're going to get in the river. They're going to try and invade, and they're going to try and run the ones as many times as possible with the enemy jungler. Olaf is a scary dude. Olaf does a ton of damage. If you let him pick up his hammer, and it's hard to prevent him from picking up his hammer, to be clear. If you let him pick up his axe, excuse me. If you let him pick up his axe, he's throwing it right back at you. He's getting a chunk, and he's good at running you down. He's good at chasing you. You kind of have to stand there and fight, and if you can't out DPS him, then you're really in trouble. And there's not many characters that are stat checking in Olaf pre-6. There's a few more that have impactful enough ultis to do it. I don't think Vi is one of those characters. So Vi, on the other hand, has a lot of strengths in that she does the things that Olaf doesn't, right? Vi is really good at ganking. She's really good in late game team fights. She's really good at securing objectives by creating prio on the map. Whereas usually the way Olaf is creating prio is by pressuring the other jungler out of a quadrant of the map, right? So I expect to see maybe some aggressive jungling coming out from coming out from the Love No Thought side, and then just trying to create advantages in lane when possible, coming out from Frozen Ace.
Right. Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting for Riftwalkers, considering they have, the Aphelios Victor that kind of want to sit back and scale and play kind of more defensively in the early game versus Darius and Olaf that feel like they need to push the pace of the early game to really have an impact on the late game. So it'll be kind of fun to see who's going to kind of take over. Is it going to be the top side that's the main focus and kind of getting stuff done, or is it going to be kind of sit back and scale and kind of use the front line of your team to kind of act as a bridge to get your carries to that power point? As compared to kind of Team Nautilus, it seems like their whole team, other than the Yunara, she's kind of the catch-all AD carry right now, but it seems like there's a lot more engage, a lot more tools to do things like dive onto the opponent. We have the Braum level 1 being so strong, and we have like the early game Camille lockdown, right? As long as the Vi. But we're gonna get straight into our game here as it's our last match of Prime Meta League Day 1. It's Team Nautilus versus Riftwalkers.
Yeah, and right now we see the standard fan out. Looks like we're just going to protect our jungle from getting invaded on both sides. This is something I'm interested in. I know a lot of AoE junglers tend to start chickens, or raptors, or whatever we're calling them.
I call them raids because I'm an unk.
True. I am surprised, or not surprised. I am interested to see what this Olaf's path looks like, because I think if I'm Riftwalkers and I'm looking at the way my team comp is set up, I want to try and get into this Darius lane as quickly as possible. This Aphelios Soraka lane is probably going to play back, but even if they freeze or even if they get pushed under turret, they're not exactly the best at facilitating ganks until Aphelios gets his CC gun, and even with the CC gun, Rocket just doesn't set up great ganks in general, right?
Yeah, 100%. The Soraka, the only thing you really have to set up the CC is maybe the slow from the Starfall, maybe the silence with the Equinox. It's not a lot to set up the ganks, and Olaf's not really known to be like a very effective ganking jungler. So it'll be, the Olaf trying to get aggressive in different ways that don't just involve straight ganking. It'll be power farming, maybe even invading the Vi, like we said, where you can kind of throw hands, get up in their face, run the fade, as you say, and get up in to kind of cause some chaos for your team. As we see some early game trading from Magician and Winter, not too much damage traded back, but we're seeing the range advantage from Magician start to chunk out Winter with the auto attacks.
Yeah, for sure. I am interested to see how this pathing goes. Both junglers starting on opposite sides of the map, both pathing towards their quote unquote strongest lanes. It looks like, because Vi does want to try and get down here and get into this Aphelios lane as much as possible. Aphelios just not being able to do anything about her. Magician really exerting a lot of pressure on Winter to facilitate that push. And ultimately, I think what Brad and Davatek really want here is to try and get this wave to bounce, but it's not quite there yet. But they want it to bounce right in time for the Vi to show up.
Right. Yeah.
It looks like we're going to walk trading in.
Yeah. We just see continued trading. Magician's really trying to throw down as much poke as possible before his mana bar is gone. We see that Winter actually did go the Doran's Ring, which is less of a sustain kind of rune sustained item compared to the Doran's Shield. So it's likely that he's going to get poked up and have to TP before Magician. So we'll have to see if, we can see if Frozen Ace manages to get some pressure on this Victor that's pushing up.
Yeah, and I do think that Doran's Ring, and this, speaking of losing to Shopkeeper, I do think Doran's Ring is a little bit ambitious in this matchup. It's possible that he has some justification for it that I don't really know. Maybe he's just that mana hungry, which is a possibility. But I would imagine that this is a Doran Shield matchup. You're getting poked out here if you're playing Gragas.
Yeah, as someone who's played a couple of Gragas games, not a lot, but I used to play him in the jungle a bit. His mana problems are quite rough in the early game, since if you're using that barrel to farm in the early game, you're going to run out of mana. As we see a hook shot from Zacian. Not a lot of trading. We got a nice trade, a nice chunk out, especially since Zacian is running the TP while I'm just going to call him Darius because Lacombe Lafit is just too many words. Darius does not have the teleport to return back to lane if he takes a bad trade. As we see some trading in the bot lane, we see the heals coming out for Krexen. Krexen doesn't do a lot of damage in the early game, but he's hitting the Calibrum sniper rifles. Winter's back in lane and he's already out of mana and almost half HP. So we're seeing this Victor not even have to expend a TP and chunk out Winter a ton, as Winter's already out of mana again, and he didn't get a great buy. Oh, sorry, he
Well,
didn't.
Winter hasn't
back
gone
yet,
at
yeah.
all, so he's actually doing okay. But that short trade is not actually great for the Yunar lane. They really wanted to land that stun on Aphelios because they're just going to heal right up. That being said, it's possible that what they really wanted was to try and bounce the wave and create a situation where they could find a good back timer. They've been having trouble with that throughout the early game. It's one of the reasons why Vi didn't have prio when she went for the crab. But now that this lane is pushing away from them, they're probably going to look for a back timer relatively soon.
Yep, yeah, and LaChacha on the Sorakas keeping his AD carry safe. Brett and Dave Tack are in a relatively good position, you know, a little bit of farm lead, but not anything super impressive. As we see a TP back to mid lane from Magician as he picks up the Faded Ashes, and a TP back top lane from Zacian, picking up the Sheen and the Dagger. So a good early buy from him as Lacalm Lafitte managed to push out the wave. Not sure if he'll be able to get the crash in. He looks like he's staying as Love Not Thought is going to the top lane and see if he can create some chaos.
Yeah, and looks like Love No Thought is considering like kind of getting aggressive here, but realizing that it's likely Vi has all these camps cleared, so there's no real reason to like try and invade. A really peaceful game so far, honestly. Definitely the least action we've seen out of any game so far, but almost relaxing to see teams like not decide that they need to fight every 2 seconds.
They're putting me out of a job, Kazi. You know, I showed up as the play-by-play, and there's no plays being made.
There's no plays. No, it's yeah, putting me on the spot as analysis with like Silverbrain, not a good idea. But, like,
That's all good. It's all good. It seems like you're doing a great job with the analysis so far. So we're gonna see, yeah, like you said, some super relaxed early laning, no high aggression plays from either team. I think this, in the end, this benefits Team Nautilus a little bit more since they have the better scaling champions with the Camille and Gragas, you know, kind of getting over that early game hump, especially for the top side. So Victor will continue to scale well, but now that Winter finally has the mana crystal, he'll be able to stay in lane longer. As we see the first dragon, we see the body slam go in. Love Not Thought dealing some damage to the Gragas. Winter doesn't take that much damage as the fruit's picked up. Gravity Field gets dropped. Magician, oh, we see a nice silence coming out, rooting 3. LaChacha is getting some nice poke as the Arcane Storm comes out. Winter's taken really low. There's a fight around the dragon. They're all bunched inside this pit. Frozen Ace misses the Vault Breaker. There's a lot of damage being taken onto the Braum. It's about to be first blood. Love Not Thought. They manage to get the kill. Victor gets the kill. Frozen Ace goes in and dies. Zacian jumps in with the hook shot. He gets the Hextech Ultimatum and Love Not Hot. He's doing so much damage he can't get it. Love Not Hot finally dies as we see a slaughter in the river. The Rift Walkers just stomped out Team Nautilus in the dragon fight as they were all trapped in the pit and unable to get out as they lose the dragon. They lose 4 members in that fight in just an absolute chaos with everyone flying into their deaths.
Just a master class in positioning and playing off of your teammates. Soraka somehow landing a 3-man snare into an immediate Victor ultimate and laser was just so huge for that team fight. The amount of damage that Victor was able to get out over the full duration, in addition to the Aphelios getting to free hit almost the entire time, even at this early stage where like they don't actually have that much damage, if you let them do whatever they want for 30 seconds, your whole team is gonna melt.
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, you can say that again, like it was just free hitting from Magician and Krexin on the Aphelios and Victor. These early game champions might not do a lot, but if you give them free time to free fire, they're going to be taking down your team. As, yeah, it's just a pretty big misplay, I think, from Team Nautilus to kind of get stacked up in that pit and not make anything happen. We saw Dave Tack's Braum get taken out really early in the game as he had to throw up the Unbreakable really late in the fight and not block that much damage. And Bread wasn't able to hit. And yeah, we saw Frozen Ace whiff one of those Vault Breakers in, and then Zacian actually had to come down, use his TP, kind of alleviate this pressure that he was putting on top lane to make that play. As we see, oh my god, a steal with the Undertow. Love Not Thought dodges the body slam. He's CC immune as used the ultimate. Cease and desist on the big.
There's the
back line. Winter's taking so low and he dies. CC immune is still active for Love Not Thought. He gets the Undertow again. This Vi is so low. Love Not Thought trying to do more damage. Zacian's taken down. Has to flash out. Flash apprehend misses from the Darius as it's a 1-for-1, but the Rift Walkers managed to steal 1 grub, and there's 1 remaining. Just chaos in the river as Winter was taken so low, and Zacian and Frozen Ace just didn't have the damage to take down the Olaf.
So that's kind of the opposite thing, though, when we talk about why you want to pick the Vi into this team, is because, like, as much DPS as the Olaf did in the previous fight at Dragon, Love No Thought is excellent at brushing these immobile carries, really making Magician's life, and actually just straight up killing Magician with a Vault Breaker there. being able to clean up these void grubs for her team, because like they don't really have. It's really hard to answer Vi with 2 immobile carries.
Yeah, you're right. We saw the cease and desist go into the backline. Magician didn't get to do a lot in that fight as he got jumped on by the Camille and the Vi. He kind of got taken out so early. He was already chunked out a little bit by Winter, and he was taken out of the fight without being able to hit the Arcane Storm or put down meaningful damage. But I mean, is it love not hot or love no thought? I'm not sure which one.
It is love, no thought.
Love no thought. All right, I'll keep that in mind. But
Yeah.
Love no thought is actually on his first item already with the
Words to live
Stride
by,
Breaker
words
after
to live
picking up
by.
all those kills. I mean, he's up
Yeah.
almost 15-ish farm on his opponent, and it seems like he's about to be able to take over this game as he's looking in the
2
bot
kills is
lane.
huge. Olaf actually one of the better characters at diving just because of the amount of damage he does. Looks like they're going to try and set
Frozen
up a
Ace managed to
farm
catch Magician as he's going
man.
for
They're
a
going to try and bait out the season.
grab the field, Love Not Thought's
the ward
reveal.
is good.
Yeah, Brad. Oh, he used the Stride Breaker in. Dave Tack, nice unbreakable to block some of the damage from Aphelios. It's just a look from Frozen Ace, but I think both junglers spent a bit of time there, so a bit of a chance for other laners to get ahead. So that was, yeah, we saw a look from both the jungler of Nautilus and the jungler of Riftwalkers and their mid laner as well. So it kind of, the mid lane farm differential's a bit evened out.
So 2 really important small plays that happened there was Love No Thought staying in the bush to try and bait out the cease and desist from Frozen Ace onto Victor, and in tandem, Dave
See the
Tech putting a
Fisher
ward in
come
that
out.
bush.
Crexon uses the Moonlight Vigil. He's stacking up the Chakrams, red-white guns. Switches back to the Calibrum. Doesn't manage to hit the sniper rifle, as it's just a trade of ultimates in the bot lane. LaChacha's taken low, but Crexon's stacked up the Chakrams, and I think they're just going to disengage and leave it at that.
For sure. You know, it's funny with the Felios. Whenever you take a fight, you really want red white guns. You want the Chakram, you want the lifesteal. But he ran out of the lifesteal gun halfway through, which means he went from dueling guns to poke guns, and
He yanked
it's
top.
not as fightable.
Trying to
Here's
interrupt.
Ghost
Oh,
coming
we see the
out.
hook shot barely dodges the apprehend. Calm Lafitte actually used the ghost for that as well, and he misses it. So it's going to be a key summoner down for that combat. Sorry for interrupting again, Kazi. You got a little spicy, but yeah, tell us about the Aphelios weapon rotation.
So when you're playing Aphelios, you want to try and you want your support, and you want to be able to get engaged on when you have what are called dueling guns, which is to say your Caliburn or not your Caliburn, your Chakram and your we'll call it lifesteal gun. I think it's called Vampirum.
Yeah, it's the Severum. Yeah, Severum's the
Severum,
lifesteal,
sorry.
and Crescendum is the Chakrams.
Yeah, you want those 2 guns up because those 2 guns afford you the highest DPS and survivability. But in the middle of trying to fight, he accidentally got switched onto Caliburn. I think because he used his Chakram skill a little bit too early, and it burnt his Chakram gun. Burnt his Severum gun. And because of that, he couldn't really fight as well. And they just ended up disengaging the fight because of that. But it's going to be another Dragon going over to Riftwalkers because they just have a lot of pressure. It's really so as good as Braum Yunar is, it is hard to get in on Aphelios with almost any character when he has Caliber up.
Yeah. As the Braum, you're not usually trying to engage. Oh, Winter's Bite hits. LaChacha's taken low. Oh, the ultimate
LaChacha
by Yunar. He's
being
dealing
used
so
here.
much damage.
Yunar
He
is
jumps
gonna
in with the Conway steps. Unstoppable goes in with the cease and desist as they lock down the Soraka. The Wish is not enough healing. Bread takes him down and gets the first kill for this bottom lane. A really nice gank from the lane from Frozen Ace as the cease and desist takes out LaChacha. We're not gonna see. Oh, maybe we are. Gonna see Love No Thought throw some undertows to disengage, but a nice look from the bottom lane and jungler from Team Nautilus to kind of claw back a bit of the gold lead and get this Yunara ahead.
And when we talk about the pressure that Braum can exert in the lane, that's kind of part of it. But it's just that denting blows is such a, or not denting blows, excuse me, concussive blows is such a scary, scary passive, right? You land any stack of that onto either Raka or Aphelios, and they have to run away. Because
Right.
if they get it procced, they're squishy enough to where either one of them is dead. And you saw it there where even though the concussive blows wore off, they were still able to find the kill onto the Raka just off landing the slow CC.
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
summoners up.
Yeah, not a lot of tank stats on the Soraka. If you're the one who's getting hit in the back line, you're going down before your AD carry, as you don't have the ability to heal yourself with that Astral Infusion. I mean, they did use the Wish, but it just wasn't enough as Bread was free firing, and it was a great look from Bread's Yunara to kind of start hitting Krexin before the gank started, and Krexin had to burn the flash in that exchange too, and only Frozen Ace, I believe, had to use the flash on his side. So there's 2 flashes down on the bot lane of Riftwalkers, making them more vulnerable to ganks, as no summoner spells were burned on Team Nautilus. As we see some fighting in the top lane, Love No Thought is there. Zacian's dealing some good damage. A flash in, gets hit with the hook shot. Lacombe Huffit actually managed to get the nice fully stacked passive there, but it's not much after that, as he did burn the flash to get that look, and Love No Thoughts wasting a lot of time in the top lane. It looks like he's going for an invade on the jungle. It's hitting the blue. Frozen Ace is right next to him. Love No Thoughts. Olaf has a level lead. I think the smite went to Frozen Ace. Yeah, he did pick up the blue buff, but Love No Thoughts running him down. Frozen Ace is getting hit. The Ragnarok has popped CC immune, channeling the Volt Breaker. Can he get over the wall? He can't. He runs into the Olaf, who's CC immune, and now the Olaf is stuck in the jungle. Winter's 1v3 here. The Soraka moved all the way up here, and we see Winter managed to disengage. Bread saw the look. He goes in. We see the nice Calibrum snare from Krexin stop the engage from Bread, but it looks like Dave and Bread are still looking. Cadme step forward. Krexin uses the ulti, gets hit as the Transcend oneself is doing so much damage. Bread is taking up the turret though, as they trade one for one under the turret. A nice fire back from Krexin, but that means that Bread gets the shutdown on his Yunara, so a big injection of gold there. A nice trade 1v2 from Krexin, but I think overall the gold difference is still in the favor of Nautilus, as we see a 2v1 in the bot lane.
Yeah, and just to like address what this means for the rest of the game, that shutdown going to Yunara is basically going to would normally even up the gold between her and Aphelios, but because of her CS lead, she's actually going to be basically up an entire kill, to the point where Aphelios has kind of had to build a little bit differently than I think he would like to. Really, he's going to be stacking double damage items early, rather than doing what we would call like the quote-unquote normal thing, which is to go like Yuntal into damage into secondary attack speed item. It looks like he's probably going to be building his Lord Dominic second, or even worse, potentially Yuntal second, which is not an ideal place for an AD carry, especially when you lose a lead like that.
Yeah, for those who don't understand what the Yuntal does or not fully know what the item is, you get stacks of critical hit chance based on how much you auto attack with that item, up to a cap of 25%. So yeah, Kazi, you're right on the dot there. You usually want to go the Yuntal for your first core item as Aphelios and get those stats of attack speed, crit chance, and attack damage. But now with just the IE, with just that base damage of attack damage, oh, we see a combo in the mid lane. Okay, nothing much more, but yeah, the Aphelios wants to get the Yuntal, so we get all 3 of those stats, but now he just has the stat stick of the IE, which isn't that effective as the first item, as the critical hit amplification doesn't do much until you have a bit more crit chance. As we see Bread walking up, we see Gank, a nice Volt Breaker, but it actually misses. A nice Fisher hits too. Krexin's taking so much damage, and the heals are not enough from LaChacha. Soraka does her best, but it's not enough, as Krexin falls right in front of his turret, and we see the Rift Herald being activated on the top. The Darius seems to drift it into the turret. We see more fighting the bottom lane as Winter's approaching. Magician tries to stave off the offense, as we see the jungler from Riftwalkers approach as well. It's a 4v4 in the bottom lane. But Riftwalker doesn't have their AD carry. It's gonna be, they're gonna go back in the pit. Winter, oh nice! It bought a flash body slam, but the explosive cast misses. They manage to get on top of the AD, the Magician, and they make that AD carry disappear because Bread is in there. Zacian TPs, gets the hookshot, misses, but he kills him with the precision protocol. As we see 5 people now in this bottom lane on the Dragon. Love Not Hot is still looking. Bread scares him off with a bit of the auto attacks as Zacian's walking up. Love Not Hot is still staying around, as we see the Braum and the Queen of the Blows is stacked up. He has the CC Moon with the Ragnarok. He's just going for Dave Tech. Blue team secures the Mountain Drake, as we see Darius go, and he gets the dunk on Dave Tech. Gets a 4-man apprehend, another dunk, kills Winter. And it's a double kill for Riftwalker's top lane. The Darius managed to pick up 2 off that fight, but they still lose the Dragon, and he dies for his attempt. A crazy fight in the river as it's running red for Team Nautilus and Riftwalkers. Love Not Hot survives, but he watches his team die in front of him.
I have no idea who won that fight, I'm going to be honest.
I
think Riftwalkers got the Dragon, so I'm going to say them.
The gold lead is dead even after that fight.
I think it was like a 1.5-minute long fight, and 6 people died, 3 from each side. So I think
Yeah,
Rift Walker
yeah.
secured Dragon. I think that's what matters.
I mean, yeah, it was insane. So yeah, there was a gank on the bottom
Oh
lane that
no,
managed to kill
Nautilus secured
Crexen.
Drag. Nautilus.
Oh
secured
yeah,
Drag.
Nautilus managed to secure the drag after they forced out Love Not Hot, but Love Not
Yeah.
Hot and the Darius managed to get 2 kills off the back end of it. I mean, it was crazy because yeah, it seemed like everybody was walking into their deaths because they were so low after Magician walked in and he did some damage, and as a Magician does, he disappeared by going back to the fountain. And then yeah, his team managed to clean up for him, but they did not secure the dragon, so the dragon stacking of Riftwalkers did get slowed down.
And again, we see teams kind of reset to a neutral state. It's worth noting the goal is extremely even. The objectives relatively even. Obviously, Riftwalkers still up a dragon, but Nautilus being up the most recent dragon is relevant because it means they could potentially stack 4 Earth dragons, which is really strong.
Right.
But across the board, we see small advantages in some places. Camille's up about 20 CS on Darius. We've got about 2 kills difference between the Vi and the Olaf, which we kind of expect. Olaf is much more of a scrappy jungler, definitely trying to fight a lot more. And when lanes are playing safe like they are, it's a little bit hard for Vi to get snowballing. Both the mid laners kind of behind the curve on gold in terms of distribution, but that is okay. They're both just trying to kind of scale into where they want to be. Gragas for the mid game, Victor for the late game. Gragas kind of hitting some power points once he finishes the second item. But the big
turn Frozen Ace in the jungle, explosive cast misses, flash in from Lacan Lafitte, doesn't actually get anything, misses the apprehend as well. Zacian tries to hook shot in, the season assist on to Darius. He's taking so much damage, he used the decimate already, doesn't have the heal, the wish goes out, but it's not enough. The healing is not enough to keep him alive as Dave Tack takes a chunk. A nice look from Frozen Ace, Zacian, and Winter. They managed to put the ice on Riftwalkers as they managed to take out Darius as he used the healing right before he got jumped in on. A nice look, and I think that's going to transition over to the Otacon take, but it is warded, and the Otacon does shred, so we'll see if Riftwalkers can take this fight. Oh, Dave Tech.
Oh man, we've got good guns on Crexen to fight.
Oh, Dave Tech is still so low, managed to jump out with the stand behind me, Braum. Love not just running at them.
The entire team down.
Okay, yeah, we see that the Otacon aggro still hasn't been stopped either, so it looks like they just leashed it for Riftwalkers. Riftwalkers managed to lose a guy and take the Otacon, so a bit of a throw there from Team Nautilus as they start the Otacon and give it away for free.
Yeah, really not something you can afford to be doing there. There's no real reason to start the Otacon when you're any less than certain that you could actually do it, especially when Aphelios has like a reasonable amount of dueling potential and you're looking just like a 4v5, while obviously advantaged, is just not something you can take depending on like what your cooldowns look like, what the enemy's cooldowns look like, and ultimately it's just a risk that doesn't really pay off for Riftwalk or for Nautilus there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of like an unforced error. They got a free kill, and maybe they could have gotten more with the engage from the Braum or possibly the Hextech ultimatum. But or actually, I think he used that in the previous fight. But in the end, they just end up leashing the Otacon for the enemy team, and that's a huge influx of gold huge influx of experience and stats. As we see the explosive bomb combo coming out, has to flash out, but the cease and desist is good. The wish comes out, but it's not enough again. Every wish just seems to be wishing for the death of someone else. LaChacha's doing their best with the heals, but it seems like Frozen Ace and Winter have blood all over their hands, and it's not fixing anything. So a really nice look with the Bomba combo from Winter. Actually burns the flash and the barrier from Crexen as well. So 2 summoners used for just Winter's 1, and now this Aphelios immobile AD carry has nothing to get out of the next fight. Oh, see Scrap in here. Okay. Oh, we see a body slam under the turret. Darius managed to get the apprehend as Bread's free firing. Frozen Ace is around. Love No Thought is still in the jungle.
And both teams are just kind of positioning around this dragon. It is more important for Riftwalkers than it is for Nautilus, because being able to take the 3rd dragon means that you can usually trade it for Baron. But both teams are relatively well positioned here. This TP positioning is a little bit risky.
Very aggressive TP position. Love No Thoughts I love no
Uh,
thoughts is still in the dragon pit. 5-man stacked on top of the mountain dragon. It's a really tanky one. Vault Breaker in, uses the Ragnarok to
here's
become
the
immune. Nice silence on top of everyone. LeChacha is doing so much. Magician's Arcane Storm managed to grow. Frozen Ace is taking slow. Odie gets the kill with the laser beam. Double kill
Correct,
over the
late to the
Magician as
fight.
Winter and Zacian have to jump over the wall to get out. And it seems like again Nautilus just managed to leash 4 Riftwalkers as Riftwalkers walk by and say thank you. They get 2 kills for free. They get the 3rd dragon, making it sole point, and they're gonna take mid lane turret as well. They just got so much off that fight.
And that might be an even more indicative one because even though it looks like it was a 5v5, Krexen was not there for the entire fight, didn't land an auto, and they still lost that 5v5 while taking objective damage, but it's Dragon. The objective damage is relatively minimal. If they're not able to clean these up and find better positioning or better DPS, there's no way that they're going to be able to beat Riftwalkers once it comes to like really trying to end the game. Even this Yunar is too far ahead to not be able to DPS like she's supposed to. There's not much dive potential on her coming out of Riftwalkers, providing that her team is peeling for her. Overall, not to be that guy, but I actually just expect more out of Nautilus here.
That's fair enough. I mean, a bit of the stage jitters maybe for Team Nautilus in this first game. We saw a beautiful Equinox from LeChacha stop the engage, and then right on top of it, Magician dropped the Gravity Well, which meant that they were stunned and silenced in the same place. And really good positioning again from Love No Thought, posturing aggressively, and managed to block Frozen Ace's Vault Breaker in. So it meant that he could not get on top of any of the carries. And like you said, it was a 4v5. Right? It wasn't even the Riftwalkers didn't even have their 80 carry in that fight to help them, and Magician and Love No Thought just cleaned up the fight with so much damage. The Arcane Storm was hitting everyone, and Love No Thought took the Ragnarok and just raged all over Team Nautilus and got 2 kills off that.
Yeah, and of course, positive fight for Riftwalkers, but we're still looking at relatively even gold. Part of that is the fact that, well, actually, no, there's not much standing gold on the map. It looks like just Nautilus has been doing a decent job farming, really just keeping it up. And they're actually 500 gold ahead, even though you wouldn't necessarily know it from the way these team fights have been going. I think ultimately what this is coming down to is that their gold allocation hasn't been super effective, and they need to try and get more out of like this Camila, this Yunara. I'm not really sure how they're supposed to do that. That's up to them. But
Vault Breaker in, it's Magician. Magician flashes up with the season. This as follows. Winter trying to hit the combo. Nice body slam. The wish is enough to keep Magician alive. A nice explosive cast back in. They have enough damage. Frozen Ace gets the shutdown as he knuckles down Magician. It's just like Arcane over again as Vi beats the crap out of Victor. LeChacha, it seems like every time they use a reactive wish, it's just not enough. A nice look from Team Nautilus to pick up that kill. Can they turn it into more?
Yeah, excellent dive. Excellent pick onto the Victor. As not bursty as you would expect Gragas to be, still plenty of damage to be able to take out a squishy under turret in combination with such a high DPS or a high damage jungler like Vi, especially when they can lock him down with so many different types of CC between the two of them. Unfortunately, there's no real objective to take here off of that, but they are going to look to translate that into a push. Hopefully try and position a little bit more deep vision, especially in that upper right quadrant around Baron, contesting some of these jungle camps around Love No Thought and LeChacha.
Yeah, a really great look. It seems like Nautilus is really great at these small skirmishes, but it seems like they end up overestimating the fight when it comes to the 5v5. And Magician, you talked about the gold lead, but he's about to pick up the pointy hat with the Rabadons here, and it's going to be a lot of damage. If they manage to if Nautilus keep managing to find the looks that they've had earlier in this game onto this Victor, it'll be a great way to turn the team fight in their favor, especially now that the Yunara's on 3 items and this Aphelios still on 2.5. It's going to come down to the execution if Team Nautilus can actually lock down the key carry without losing too many members on their own.
Of course, and that's really what this Vi pick is about, right? Is locking down carries. You'd think they have the DPS to deal with the rest of the front line. Really, although the DPS battle with Yunara versus Aphelios is going to be probably Aphelios favors the later the game goes, even though it's not going to be by a ton. So you really need the Vi to take out a carry, and you really need your carry to be able to make up for whatever deficit Unara might have to Aphelios, if that exists. Aphelios going an extremely high burst damage
See the
right now,
shot
but
goes
we're
in,
going to
gets
get
Moth Ragnarok early, Stridebreaker out, Glacial Fisher gets flashed away from his LeChacha, had to burn his flash as well. A nice use of the engage from Team Nautilus to engage and burn some of the key summoners on Riftwalkers. The Soraka has no flash, and Olaf no longer has Ragnarok, which is such a key ultimate ability to be missing in the team fight. There's a flash in from Frozen Ace.
Oh my God.
Wish goes out the gravity field, but it's not enough. LeChacha dies. The Darius goes in. He gets exhausted as Bread's free firing. Frozen Ace goes in the back line. It's 2v3 in the back as we see the top laners are just scrapping with the enemy team. As we
Oh
get the
my
Nazi
God.
field, he shuts down Bread. We see so much damage come out. The Crescendum ult goes out. Frozen Ace dies in front of the Aphelios as Ashian's getting run down by both the Aphelios and the Olaf. Lacombe Lafitte with a great team fight with that engage. Did so much damage. Maybe one-shot Bread from half health with the Noxian Guillotine. And now that means Riftwalkers get the dragon. The Riftwalkers are not just walking on top of their corpses. They're dancing on top of the corpses. They picked up the Mountain Dragon Soul.
Lacombe Lafitte played the entire team fight 1 versus 3 and won it.
Yeah, that was a
He was-
beautiful fight. He was stunting on them. I mean, he took the pressure of 3 members by himself as Zacian and Frozen Ace tried to do the same on the back line of Riftwalkers, and those two were not able to do what that one man did on the Darius. So props to him for a beautiful team fight. I think he single-handedly won his team that fight.
I mean, he was fighting Unara, the secondary carry in Gragas, and Braum at the same time, and killed 2 of them. That is a ridiculous effort coming out of Lacombe Lafitte here. And while they weren't able to translate it into objectives, it's not going to get better if you're playing against this Darius, especially as he finishes this Jock Show. Really interesting build coming out for the Darius here, and I'm not going to go so far as to say it's wrong. And frankly, I don't have enough Darius experience to say that. But I will say he is really hard to kill below half health, especially with the CDR coming off of the Spear of Sojin and the Steric Shield and bonus stats combined with Jock Show. He is deceptively tanky when he's at 1,000 or less HP.
Yeah, it's just so much tankiness from the Sterix and the Jack Show now that he's finished it. I mean, I think also props to Krexen for managing to survive that fight so long. He had the red-white guns to lifesteal off the dive from Frozen Ace and Zacian, and there just wasn't enough damage to kill him. So LeChacha's wish might not have saved his team, but his heals and the red gun heals from Krexen managed to keep them alive and win that team fight. As we see posturing in the mid jungle, we see the river getting cleared out, and it looks like Team Riftwalkers want to take over topside river and go for the Baron possibly.
And right now, Krexen is not building to DPS these fights. He will DPS these fights after he finishes his next item, but right now Krexen is relying on the amount of burst damage that Aphelios' kick can pack, which is highly deceptive and actually a lot between like the 2 skills he could throw out in succession. Just because by building like triple heavy AD item, right? He recognizes that it's going to be really hard for him to survive a dive, so he's trying to do as much damage as quickly as possible, rather than trying to stay alive for as long as possible to maximize his damage.
Yeah, I mean, who needs to be the DPSer when you have this Olaf and Darius doing consistent damage? And I mean, this Victor's no slouch either, so I think his build just worked out for this game. He's bringing the Burst Mage, while Magician is bringing the DPS, and his top lane backs it up. As we see a lot of posturing near this Baron buff, it seems like both teams are getting antsy. Dave Tech's looking for the Winter's Bite in the bush, but I think Riftwalker's just doing a better job keeping vision. As we see, I mean, Nautilus lost so many objectives in a row. They're down the Mountain Soul. They're down the Otacon. I think this next Baron fight's going to have to where they kind of unleash themselves, or it's going to be game over. I mean, Bread had the gold lead for the majority of this game, but now it looks like the items are on parity. And I think every fight, he just hasn't had the chance to free hit when he needed to. He's getting run down by this Darius, run down by this Olaf. He's not able to get in range as the Aphelios and the Victor tend to outrange the Unara. Oh, we see again. Love Not
That is
Hot
true.
gets the undertow. We see the Hextech Ultimatum go out. Volt Breaker getting charged up. Darius is not taking any damage from these two as Bread managed to come in. The Ragnarok is popped as he's CC immune. Channeling back out as a TP comes out from Magician. They're going to trade TPs for that fight as Winter comes in as well. Bread uses his ultimate to disengage. We see 2 TPs being wasted from both teams, but not much done after that other than some ultimates burned. And it just looks like Riftwalkers are going to use this as a chance to transition to the Baron.
And just speaking to the Yunara's build a little bit more, she did hit 2 critical breakpoints in the past couple minutes since the fight. She's finished her Runads, and she also has Grievous Wounds, which is going to be really, which should be a huge difference maker against the Darius. One of the reasons why he's been so effective in the past 2 team fights is that he's healed up his entire health.
And he has to flash out of the apprehend. Love Not Hot is running him down. As we see Zacian hookshot in, Red's managed to free hit, but the heals are so much. Zacian just dies. Doxy and Guillotine shuts him down. We see the Arcane Storm so big as the calm Lafitte is not calm at all. He's raging on top of Team Nautilus as he gets 2 more kills. He flashes the thumbs up in disrespect, and he is taking over this fight. 6-2-0 means that his team is getting the Baron buff for free.
You know, maybe Grievous Wounds means nothing. Like the
I mean, against double mountain into the shield, into the Jack Show, it looks like it's doing absolutely nothing. This Yunara pebbles at him.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter. He just does like 1,000 damage every time he presses R. So like, you know, maybe Grievous Wounds didn't make a difference at all whatsoever.
Yeah, it seems
however,
like
Yunara has now finished her armor pen item. Not the full item, but gotten 25%, which is more than 0, which, again, the more we scale, the less and less the Darius should matter hypothetically, but so far, he's looked dominant in these team fights. Everybody's just squishy enough for him to be able to really chunk them out with his ultimate and his passive procs.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the scaling advantages for Team Riftwalkers. You know, their bot side outscales, but their top side doesn't. But right now, it seems like this Darius is scaling. He's not even on his 4th item, and he does so much damage. And it seemed like what was a quiet laning phase from him turned into absolute domination in the mid-late game as he's just taking every fight so well, and he's taking over. As we see the Elder Dragon spawns, if you do not fight over this buff, it's guaranteed game over with that 20% health execute. We see the vision being cleared. We see it getting lower. Crexen doesn't have the best guns for a fight. Hookshot out. Manages to keep him safe.
Crexen has the best guns for an ulti though.
Oh, we see Zacian
Crexen
healing
can
up
land
off
a
the
critical
plant.
one. He can win the fight by himself with those 3
Yeah,
people
I mean, he
right
gets
there.
stunned, but there's so much healing. The Soraka's keeping him topped up. Zacian's already half HP as the Elder Dragon's taken so low, under 2k. Oh, the steal is unsuccessful as Frozen Ace can't get in. He uses the Vault Breaker, and now he has no way out. He managed to jump over the back wall. I guess he has enough CDR to escape, but it means that the Elder Dragon gets over to Riftwalkers, and they're going to use this to dominate the last fight of this game, ideally. So we're going to see if this is enough for the final push.
They will engage anybody they touch with any CC here. They might even split this Darius off to dive somebody bot solo. Yeah, it looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to shove out this mid lane. They can't really every little bit of poke they land is so much damage because of the dragon buff.
Oh, we see the stun onto the Vi. The Vi's rooted in place and he dies. He gets executed by Magician's Dragon Laser Beam. The Arcane Storm is going towards the enemy team, but it's not needed as they have so much damage without it. Magician is low on mana, but it seems like it's not gonna matter. They have the Baron Wave. They have the Elder Dragon. They're pushing on the Nexus turrets as Daytax taken low. So much damage. Will he get executed by the Elder? Oh, we see he's just barely above the health threshold. Oh my god, the Blackfire Torch means he has enough damage over time as Victor picks up another one with the Elder Dragon execute. They're knocking on the front doors. Is this the last stand of Team Nautilus?
The Siege Minion took down 3/4 of this turret.
Oh, yeah, we see the turrets falling down. It's gonna not be a fight, but a whimper as Team Riftwalkers just runs into the base, takes the Nexus with no contestation, and in the last game of Prime Meta League Week 1, we have Riftwalkers walking on top of Nautilus's corpse. A great game to both teams, but Riftwalkers just does it more in the team fights.
Excellent job coming out from Riftwalkers.
just kind of like really finding a spot to like an exploitable spot, which is like this Darius, right? Finding a point where this Darius was strong, just really pushing it until eventually Team Nautilus just kind of broke. Honestly, like looking at the scoreboard, you wouldn't really suspect that it was that much of a stomp because there's plenty of gold distributed amongst Team Nautilus as well. But then you look at the damage numbers and you see Magician doing 36k, you see Lacombe Lafitte with his 19 and Olaf with his 20, all of those being more than anybody on Team Nautilus is doing. And again, not to like harp too much on any individual player, but like just not high damage performances coming out from some of the players that you would expect on a Team Nautilus. And honestly, excellent job to Team Riftwalkers. I think that both teams played well. I was critical of Riftwalkers at certain points in the game, but they really cleaned it up and they found a way to win. Great job.
Yeah, I mean, beautifully well done. I mean, it was a bit of a macro kind of mess in terms of what was going on. I think Team Nautilus had some of that control in that early mid game, but they ended up giving away the Otacon for free. They ended up giving the Dragon Soul Point for free and just kind of these mistake fights. But it was really Team Riftwalkers that capitalized on it. We see so much damage from Magician's Victor. He disappeared in the early game when he got ganked, but he made the opponent disappear with how he was shooting out those lasers and just executing people with that Elder Dragon buff. So just a really great showing from both teams. Unfortunately, someone has to be the loser, and I think Team Nautilus is going to have to take their learnings from today's game and bring it into next week, hopefully stronger.
I have a lot of faith in Nautilus. I think they're going to learn a lot from this game. I did really like their comp. I think they picked the characters that they were supposed to pick, especially that Inara. I think if they just keep working on it, I think they'll look really, really good. I think this game was a lot closer than the last couple team fights may have had us believe. I'm excited to see what both these teams can do going forward. All right, so from here, I think we're going to be hopping into a little bit of a post-game wrap-up, and then we'll have some interviews that I think Kevin's going to be mostly taking care of from here.
Is it post-game time? I'm back.
Oh my god, it's
return of Ochromancer. So
bad.
yeah, Ochromancer and Kazi, I think, are going to run some of the post-game kind of festivities as I prepare for some of the interviews. Yeah, guys, what did we think of the first day of Prime Meta League? What was the standouts compared to what we expected at the beginning? And maybe what was some surprises compared to what we were expecting?
What is the Darius priority? Apparently, we did not see any Darius in scrims. I don't think we saw him picked once. And then we come in and high priority top laner. I'm not quite sure why, but it worked out at least in one game. So gotta credit it. That I think has been a big surprise in terms of the picks, is just how much priority we're seeing on these hard juggernaut picks in the top lane.
Yeah, no, and they've all been highly effective. Like even in the game where we were talking about how the Darius and the Mordekaiser kind of got outscaled, like early in the game, they were doing what they were supposed to do, getting a lot of kills, kind of snowballing that gold lead. And just because they didn't close it out doesn't mean that they weren't doing something, right?
It was not the picks' fault that they lost that game.
And I guess we could have kind of seen this coming from scrims if you've been joining us for any of those. You've seen the priority that's been on Majora's Garen. It was even banned today. We know that the Juggernauts can be highly effective in this, like, what I would almost call like a hybrid solo queue competitive environment.
Yeah, where you have the more coordinated teams and less chaotic, stupid mistakes, but you know nobody's operating on the highest level of mechanical skill.
Well, and maybe not just that, but also the fact that there's still enough of an individual difference between some of the players and some of their matchups to where they can really like exert like dominance when it comes to like playing these even or advantage champions, right? Like a lot of pro players are closer to each other than they'll ever be to a Masters player. And so like when you have these potentially higher skill gaps, sometimes it just creates more exciting and more individualistic gameplay that you usually don't get to experience outside of solo queue. But that can be really exciting to see people like 1v9 entire games. Like Victor and Darius in the most recent game were so disgusting. Like I don't think it mattered what was going
Gogeta
on with the other three players. Like,
inexplicably Gogeta as soon as the in-game clock hits 30 minutes every single game.
yeah, every single game, Gogeta hits 30 minutes and just like
It's like-
sees the entire team. Like,
He really does match his name. It hits 30 minutes and his hair starts glowing blue and you can't beat him anymore.
yeah, exactly. But like another thing we saw is that Victor is also very high priority, more expected, but certainly
Yeah.
something we did see today.
I personally, I'm seeing the Victor as, oops, we don't want to pick Azir, or Azir's been banned. It's the Victor time.
Well, it's probably the best fallback control mage, right? It's probably actually let me not even say fallback. It's probably the second most powerful control mage in a vacuum, and
Like
one of the
blind,
most blind pickable control mage.
Victor's a very strong blind. He does have certain issues in that his early game is just atrocious. He's literally a Kane tier champion at levels 1 through 4 because his kit is half locked behind his passive.
Yes.
So he is the weakest control mage in the early game. Like, if you want a strong 2v2, there are a lot better early game control mages. Honestly, I kind of expected to see more Orianna. I don't like. I don't think there's a huge difference between Orianna and Victor.
I think the big difference is Orianna's range is a little bit worse, and her poke is a lot worse late game. Victor,
I don't think she has worse range. The ball control really increases her range to match Victor's top at the far end, certainly, because Victor's not one of the higher range control mages. Because you have to.
Victor is like, I think Orianna's better at creating space, whereas Victor is better at taking advantage of misspacing, if that makes any sense. I know that sounds weird.
Victor's better at controlling specific locations, but Orianna is better at actually outputting damage at those long ranges, because a lot of Victor's damage is locked behind his Q, which requires you to be in auto attack range
You
to
have
get
to-
full damage off.
Yeah, you got to be in somebody's face.
But the W and Ult are very powerful zone control abilities, so Victor can lock down a lot of space, but he doesn't offer as much damage at that range as most other control mages, and that's a big issue with him in lane. It's how you beat him, is you pick champions that outrange him. Xerath is the classic example. Very, very painful matchup for Victor.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I remember that from way back in the day, actually, now that you bring that up. It's like people picking Xerath and the Victor. back
Popular
when-
in LCK right now.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah, I haven't actually been watching enough LCK recently because
LPL too, but like only
Oh.
the good teams in LPL.
I was
but
gonna
I-
say LPL. I don't see any Xerath in LPL, but I can
Well,
imagine
not
those
you
guys
don't
are
see any
insane.
Xerath
Those
in
guys are
LPL because Caps won't pick Xerath because it's not a champion you can lose your mind on, so he
Oh,
won't
sure,
pick
sure,
it.
sure.
He's
Yeah,
a
you're
sightless
right.
guy.
Yeah, he
Cap-
can't all in on Xerath. Can't
Caps
run my
is
entire game on
yeah.
Xerath.
Caps is like synonymous with Silas in my mind. He is the Silas guy. That champion is like him. It's perfect for him, and he plays it so much. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna head out
Yep.
and leave it to Kevin and potentially Okra. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you
I
so
will
much,
hang
Kazi,
around
for the cast
interviews.
today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. See y'all.
Right.
Thank you,
I
Kazi.
think, yeah. So I think we're gonna move on to the post-game interviews with some of the winners of today's games. So CJ, Dubious, do you want to bring them into the casting booth for the first two folks?
Who are we interviewing today? Who are we
I
speaking to?
believe the first couple people we have up are going to be Argyle and Majora, the top jungle duo from Team 5
Oh.
Fang. So
Oh,
we
wow.
just got them in the chat room. Hello. Say hello to everyone on the stream, Argyle and Majora. Thank you again for the great game today. And yeah, what did you think about how today went?
Hello. I thought it went pretty much how we expected it, except for, well, the amount of deaths in the top lane. Honestly,
Well, what do you mean? Dude, that was optimal. Like a solid
Yes,
2
it
and
was
11, man.
optimal. Okay, we
Dude.
literally have the Baus top lane. He's going AP
Dude, you're
items
pretty
on
good
deck.
call.
He's got all the damage. He's got all the
It was
gold, and he's got all the death.
Oh,
Literally power.
Dude, it was great.
All
On a
right,
go
all right. Yeah, a
in
lot of
the
top
top
lane
lane.
deaths, but I mean, it seemed like it worked out for you guys. You ended up winning. I mean, the Jax
Yeah.
died a lot, but it seemed like he had more impact in the team fights. So why don't we jump over to the jungler over here, Argol? One of the things I want to ask you on your game today, you were playing kind of a more scrappy fighter jungler like you usually pick. Do you think there was kind of a key moment in your game today that kind of turned the tables in your jungle matchup?
So, we picked the Jarvan because it's a good blind into like some of the stuff that they already had. I figured he might pick something like a Xin Zhao or a Lily or something. And the champions he had left in his pool that would be good into Jarvan, it felt like there wasn't a good answer to what we had because of the bans that we were able to put forth. We were able to ban things like the Wukong and things like the Volibear. So I think it's fine for us to just blind the Jarvan there. But I think the real fight turns. I think it really started going when we caught the first 2 dragons. Once we
Right.
got that, it really felt like we were in a good position and could fight things. Now we lost the next 2 dragons. However, okay, once Jinx got like 3 items, it was over because
Right,
Jinx
right.
was a monster.
Yeah. The pressure of having those first 2 dragons in the early game meant that you had that backup fallback plan of the Jinx scaling, and I think you played the Jarvan really well. You had some great kind of magician escapes. I mean, you're not magician in this league, but you had some absolutely insane escapes. I might as well call you Houdini this game. And next question we'd like to ask Majora as the top laner for Five Fangs. You kind of had some crazy int moments, some would say, and some crazy outplays in the team fights. So one of the things I want to ask, and I'm sure the chat would love to hear, is that having the pressure of being down in gold compared to your laner, you still managed to find some beautiful stun engages on your Jack. So what kind of was your thought process of your team fights? How did you approach those?
Yeah, so the entire game from draft, right? I was thinking that all I needed to do was survive and then flank. Jax isn't really like my greatest champ, but I know that if I can land like these huge stuns, it should just be free for Gogeta to just like free hit people. So every single team fight, all I was thinking about was like how can I play from Fog or play from Out of Vision or play from like Side, and then how can I set Gogeta up for success. So like if you look at like later fights, all I was doing was trying to like run at Yunara, and then I would happen to get like 2 or 3 more people within like a stun, and then Gogeta just gets to free hit while I'm chasing down their ADC with like 400 plus armor with like 2 items. So
Right. Yeah, even though you're behind on your top laner, you still out stat check the enemy AD carry. And I think it was Kazi and Okromancer who put it so well that Jax is not a utility champion in most games, but you made it work with those stuns.
yeah, man, that's what the Zhonya's
Yeah,
for.
you were putting on your best Malphite
Yeah, dude.
cosplay. in that game.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Malphite's looking a little different in our league, right? He's purple this time. Yeah, and then last thing I'd like to ask the 2 of you, I think we'll ask Argol to go first, but was there kind of a super impactful play or kind of performance from a teammate? It could be, the 2 of you here or someone who's not in the call right now. What was the kind of super impactful play that you saw in your perspective that turned the game around? So Argol, for you, what was that moment?
I mean, there were several fights that everything like went really, really well. But I think honestly that last fight was just was great all around because as you see, I literally run it down and I int, okay, and then my team just giga wins 4v5. And what more can you really ask as a jungler for like doesn't matter. I don't even have to be there. My team wins 4v5.
Right. So it was props to the whole team for carrying you to the win. But I mean, I think you did your part with those knockups and those great cataclysms. So why don't we throw the same question over to Majora? What was, in your eyes, kind of the key moment for either you, Argol, or some of your other teammates that kind of turned the game around, that made the game win what it was?
So I think that last fight as well was pretty insane. I think the silent carry of that fight is probably Rando Kanto, our support. I think that guy is insanely good at support, and I don't think he gets enough props for how good he is. If you look at that last fight and you look at like how like his W usage, it denies like their entire team. like I jump in, right? But like it's impossible to win that unless he lands some crazy like stunt with his W like that on Poppy. It's
Right, yeah.
absurd.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thanks so much to Argel and Majora. Congrats again on both of you guys for your win. We're going to hope to see you continue that momentum into next week. Thank you again for the games and coming for the post-game interview.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
All right, I believe next up we're going to jump over to our next interview, which is Fu Fawn, who is the AD carry of the Fu fam, and Atomic Waldo, who is the support from Forge Whale Riders. Or sorry, we have Lioness from the Fu fam. So we have the winning teams, AD carry and jungler here. So Fu Fawns and Lioness. One of the things we'd like to ask you today for your cast, it seemed like you're at a bit of a deficit getting snowballed on from the opposing comp. What gave you guys the confidence to kind of turn the game around? Why don't we start with Lioness being the jungler?
I think the point in the game where things started to turn around was the Dragon Steel. Like after we got that, was like everything kind of clicked in that fight, and we could feel the energy kind of starting to flow correctly how we've been practicing and how we wanted to. And after that, like our calls and our plays together were like pretty good and pretty like well executed on our end. I think it helped us turn it around.
That's great. Yeah, the positive energy from that Dragon Steel kind of lifted up the Fu fam morale and it turned it back into the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. And Fu Fawns, I believe you had a bit of a monster game, a carry performance, some would say, on the Kaisa. While some people in the casting chat thought you might have lost to the shopkeeper, it seems like it didn't matter, and you beat the shopkeeper over his head. So what kind of let you kind of take over the game? What gave you the confidence in that game to take over? And were there any moments that you thought were like, this is it, I'm about to carry?
Well, just how Lioness said, that Drake fight was really like the game changer for all of us. We acknowledged that our early game was a little bit of a struggle. Bot lane was pretty safe. They had a lot of pressure against like our bot lane. Mid was a little bit of a scare. We had like a little slow start for sure. But the moment that Drake fight started, I believe we all just came together. Like our mid was well positioned. She got like a really good she had like a really good call for us to like pinch, and we all just kind of like started like going like attack, and like it kind of just all clicked, and then we gained the confidence like just from that like turnaround alone.
That's awesome.
There were
That's
so
awesome.
so many confident plays that we made. I'm so proud of us.
Right, yeah. Congrats on the win again. One of the things that we'd like to ask, one of the things about your early game, like you mentioned, was a bit kind of suspicious, right? We saw kind of some failed team fights early. We saw that, right before the Nexus take, you guys almost got aced there too, but we managed to pull it back with that front door end. What do you guys think will be more important to do moving forward to kind of shore up the weaknesses of the early game and maybe some of your team fight execution?
Oh, that is a really good question. Linus, do you have anything?
I think just even more practicing together as a team like we've been doing recently, and just actually like nailing down our execution, playing like the champs that we know how to play, the things that we know we can perform on, putting them together, and just making sure that we don't make silly mistakes.
Yeah, we don't want to fall behind. We know our tempo early is always a struggle. Our past scrims, we've always noticed that our early game was a little bit rocky, so we don't want to try and fall behind like ever. So we gotta try and make these moments possible where we can, like the small opportunity windows that we can find.
Right,
We're definitely getting some giga awesome Chungus like coaching after our scrims, and it's just going it's going really well.
Oh my! You know what? I shouldn't have invited you here.
For a team that struggles in the early game, you guys did a great job against the most early game possible team composition you could have faced.
Yes, thank you.
You did a great job playing into the Darius Morn dominations phase.
All right. Yeah, I mean, for sure. Last question, I think, that we have time for, and I think I'll ask them Fufons first, and then maybe Lioness after. We see that kind of the game was taken over for you Fufons was on the Kaisa, right? The Kaisa seems to
Mhm.
be one of your signature champions. Do you think that there be more priority from the opposing teams in the coming weeks to kind of take that power pick away from you? And if they do, not to reveal too much from your scrims, how comfortable do you feel about your kind of depth of champions if your comfort pick of the Kai'Sa is taken away?
I actually don't feel like Kaisa is my comfort pick. I think the enemy team really banned really well. I would argue that my Yunara and Aphelios and Xayah are like my comfort picks.
Okay, yeah.
But so they were really smart on those bans. But Kaisa has been something I have been practicing. Um, it might be a prio from here on, perhaps, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see. But I'm very excited for the next coming fights.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the way that you piloted that game and just your blatant disregard for itemization made me think that Kaisa was your champion. So yeah, great job on the way that you piloted a champion that might not even be your top prio. So yeah, other
I
teams
have
if
to
you're
respect.
watching.
I have to respect the Wukong Darius. I have to respect it.
Hey, other teams, if you're watching, you better watch out because there's more pocket picks for the Foo fam. And lastly, for Lioness, wanting to go over some of the most hotly debated topics in our pregame show was the Kayn being such a powerful champion in what seems to be the meta of Prime Meta League. We see that the Kayn is almost universally banned in the scrims and for today's game. How do you feel, with your champion pool being mainly bruisers and whatnot? Do you feel kind of more comfortable on them now, or would you want to have the ability to take something more aggressive, or sorry, more kind of like a takeover champion like the Kayn to really take over the game, or are you comfortable on these kind of bruisers like the Jarvan and the Xin Zhao?
I think that I'm actually very comfortable in these kind of bruisers because it complements our team really well. Like my mid laner plays like these AP like really strong champs mid and like plays them very well. So like I don't need to carry there. Fufon's my ADC is like doing amazing in the bot lane. So it's like I don't need to be like an AD like carry kind of role. I can just play like more of a supportive bruisery role and allow them to flourish and actually make their plays. And I think that helps our team a lot, having multiple people that can like take the game in their hands and like really play it.
That's
And our
awesome.
top
Yeah.
laner too. Like he had some really good plays today. Like my whole team, like they did amazing, and I love just being able to make that happen.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So,
CJ, I think you had something.
yeah, I just want to say I'm a huge Android Yumi fan. I mean, this is the second game,
Yes.
and both
Yes.
games is
Yes.
just crazy outplays. So, huge respect.
Mhm.
To Yumi.
The Lissandra solo kill at what level 4 or something, that was nuts.
Yeah. Honestly, I would say like Android Yumi is like a star in our team comp. She always knows where to like pick. She's very aggressive. She's strong. We love her for it. We love her aggression, and we can't wait to see her make more plays in the near future.
Right. Well, thank you so much to Fufons and Lioness from your win, for attending after your win today. We congratulate you again and hope that, you continue to be bold and take it into next week. So thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.
Of course, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. Last up here for our post-win interviews, I believe we have Krexin, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, the AD carry from Rift Walkers. So yeah, we're gonna wait for them and ask them about our last game of the night.
Wait, you
All
want to
right.
save Atomic for?
Oh, is it Atomic as well?
Yeah, I think it's Atomic.
Oh,
Our
sweet.
only-
Okay.
Yeah.
Our only interview from the losing team by popular demand.
Yeah, we'll get Atomic in here, possibly now or after. I guess we're gonna bunch them up together. We have. We'll do both at the same time, no problem. All right, so everyone, this is Atomic Waldo from Forge Whale Riders, that is the support, and we have Krexin from Rift Walkers, who was the AD carry in our last game. So I guess we can start with Atomic Waldo. By popular demand, as Okra mentioned, you are here due to the popularity vote. A really great showing from you and your team, but just weren't able to kind of break through. What do you think your team needs to improve on next game to kind of bring it up to a win?
So the thing is with our team, we've had like 3 different roster changes, so it's kind of hard to kind of be on the same page. So the thing is, we're just trying to work on synergy. So hopefully this game like teaches a lesson of what to do next for next game.
Okay, yeah, right. I mean, it's time. Only time will tell. See how good your team ends up being. We're gonna jump to a question for Crexen. Is that how I pronounce it? I hope I'm pronouncing it correct.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, Crexen, perfect. Yeah, we saw Europhilios being one of the kind of big contributing factors, and I want to pass this one maybe to Ogromancer because he is the itemization guy. We did kind of have comments about your build being just full-on attack damage. Do you have anything to say about what your build ideas were for that game to just go IE into the collector into Lord Doms?
Yeah, so with the first pick of Felios, it's excuse me, in my opinion, it's pretty easily countered, just due to the lack of mobility on the champion. So mine, and then of course, Magician's opinion was to just blow them up. So that was ultimately the goal with the build, is just to do all the damage I could before I inevitably get one shot.
Yeah, if I'm reading it correctly, you're just playing to maximize initial burst damage. Probably the Infernamar is what I think of when I look at that item build. Is just press Infernamar.
Of course.
Right. Awesome. Well, I hope Ogromancer, you're happy with the justification for the full damage item build. I'm gonna pass it back over.
No, you guys did great on the itemization. It was really the first game that confused me.
Yeah, okay, great. I'm going to pass it back to Atomic Waldo. Again, just focusing on kind of your team play. I think everyone who was watching was really impressed with your ability to kind of have such a commanding lead in the support role. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to kind of make it a win. Do you think there's kind of a key moment in your guys' game that was like kind of the turning point where the momentum shifted in the opponent's favor?
The thing is, so that first Drake, I swapped to Spite. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I meant to do it Ignite, but I thought we could just, get the smite off and just get out, right? But I smited it, and I didn't expect, like, we couldn't get it that quick. And I think I wasn't taking aggro on the dragon, so because of the unsealed spellbook. I think I should just take an Ignite right away or Exhaust, because then we could flip the fight and have summoner advantage. I think that's the problem. And then just me autoing the dragon and tanking it, and we just get it quick.
Right. So it's a bit of a kind of a miss kind of
So
I guess match.
So it was a misplay from my part because I think I should have communicated if I'd smite with Guo, then he would have known. Because he got thrown off when I did it. That was my bad. I just should have took an Ignite or Exhaust. I think that fight, or even Ghost, doesn't matter. But it's anything but smite.
Right. So focusing on that combat summoner might have been able to kind of be that turnaround point for your team at that dragon fight. So yeah, I'm sure there's lots to work on, but I mean, I think everyone was impressed with your play and some of the key moments from your fights. Crexen, I want to jump back over to you. Just some questions about the bot lane matchup. It seemed for a majority of that game, Yunar was kind of outpacing you in terms of the items, and it was very unfortunate to play a immobile AD carry against the Vi Camille. What I guess was your path as the AD carry thinking forward, how you were gonna be a part that won the game and not just getting one shot every fight?
Yeah, that's a great question. And then definitely the early game was tough. Aphelios Soraka is probably one of the weakest lanes I've ever heard of, especially into Yunara Braum. It's really hard to keep up with the tempo that they have and just the pressure they have in the bot lane, especially when we know there's a Vi somewhere on the prowl. But in terms of team fight, it was really all about the positioning. Again, I'll go back to it. Magician is obviously a great player on our team. So just kind of standing by him, I knew I'd be safe in terms of the W, and then our team just turning to peel. So that was inevitably just my thought process and how to play those fights.
Right. So eventually your mid laner Magician, I mean, hey, he made it happen. He made the enemy team disappear. I keep using that joke because it's great, but I think your frontline bought you space, and hey, you did your job not dying to the engage, and you pumped out the damage like we want to see. Last question for the two of you, so we can get this final interview wrapped up. I just want to talk about moving forward and next week. So Atomic Waldo, we're seeing a lot of the kind of bot lane meta. We're kind of seeing there's always the dichotomy of engage support versus Enchanter, right? But we've seen, from stalking your solo queue and your op.gg, you kind of have the ability to pressure on both Enchanters and engage. Do you think that moving forward that it's going to be more of an engagement in the Prime Meta League from what you're seeing, or more of that Enchanter?
The thing is about the bot lane matchup, I picked Nautilus just because we needed CC or hard lockdown. If my team told me that I could have just picked something else, I would have probably went that lane. I would have went Sona because Sona counters like poke shit. So, as soon as I get tier and like fairy charm, I'm able to like sustain the lane and it would have been like neutralized, like in terms of poke.
Right.
Because that's what Sivir wants,
playing
right?
that.
She wants like to be in lane, hold waves, get some items, right? So if I can sustain her, then my ADC is able to like just get some items and we can hold
Right.
stall
Right.
the game, right?
Yeah, it was.
'Cause,
I mean, it was
you know,
close. It was
yeah,
close all the
usually
way
I
up to
don't
the
pick
end.
Sona. I don't pick Sona to engage though, because then that's just not playable. Thing is
Yeah.
that they had Jarvan though, so I would have to just play far back, and it's not a big deal if we had like beefy frontline, like with Wukong and stuff like that. But
Yep.
You
Yep.
couldn't
wouldn't
have
be an
had much of
issue,
a
right?
beefy front.
I just have to play back and just wait. Like, I have to be patient. But yeah, I shouldn't have picked not. But
All good. I mean, yeah, you had a great performance. Okermancer, did you want to add anything to that?
I just wanted to ask Waldo before we break off here. You guys came in with a really creative team comp. Are you gonna keep pushing these like more interesting like off meta comps, or did the loss today is gonna push you towards more maybe a standard composition? Hello? Did I cut out? Or
Oh no, I think I heard you, but we'll give maybe Atomic Waldo a second to answer there. It's we can wait for him to maybe get back. Crexin, for I guess.
oh
your
wait,
last
you asked me a
question.
question? My bad.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I zoned out. I zoned out.
Okay, well, we'll come back to Crexin, but Okermancer, do you want to ask Atomic Waldo a question again?
So my question was, you guys came up with a really off the wall kind of out of left field team comp, and I wanted to know if you guys were going to push forward with that, or if this loss was going to push you towards more of a standard team composition in your next game.
I think more standard for us. We discussed it previously. Yes, more standard comp. Yeah.
Yeah, because you guys did come out of the gates here with a really interesting comp, and it was a good try. You guys got real close.
Yeah, we are gonna go for more standard next time. I think it's our best comfort.
Right.
Especially
thanks.
with a roster that like, yeah, we've had too many changes. So yeah. it makes
Yeah,
more
you're
sense.
not all on board with the strangers. All right, thanks for answering, Crexin. We got one last question for you.
Yep, Crexin. Yeah, thanks again for waiting for that last question. One of the things that we're seeing a lot of prio around is for sure the Yunara. It seems like it's the most hotly contested pick, and we've seen in the scrim blocks a lot of Aphelios. So these two champions kind of are like the more late game focused, hyper scaling, get to items, blow up the enemy. From your experience, just playing and practicing with your team, do you think there's any chance for more of these utility early game champions, such as like the Ashe, the Jhin, maybe even like a Lucian, not too much super utility focus, but the early game focus, since we've seen so many teams have their top side, like their mid jungle, take over the game? What are your thoughts about the current meta we're seeing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I do believe that picking these like scaling champs is inevitably better. Just because you do so much damage later on in the game. Sure, you're stacking some early game prio, but what does it matter when you get 4 items on Aphelios or Yunara? I don't believe that picking like a utility champion like Ashe, for example, is bad. But I just think that it kind of just gets beaten by the champs that just scale into oblivion, such as Aphelios and Yunara, as mentioned. I don't think they would be bad picks, but I think when you pick a champ like that, you just have to snowball the game really hard. And sometimes, the game's designed to throw gold back and forth, of course. So sometimes that's hard to do.
Gotcha. One super quick follow-up question, since we did talk about how both teams are liking it, and you said the gold swings back and forth. Do you think there's any team, or maybe even your team, has the kind of finesse to pull off that early game 80 carry, or we're just gonna see the scaling for most of the weeks?
I guess we'll have to see. We do have some things in our pocket we haven't pulled out yet. Just waiting for the right opportunity to do that. I don't want to give away our game plan or anything.
All right.
But I guess we'll see in the upcoming games here in the next couple weeks.
All right, I love to hear that. Thank you again to Crexin and Atomic Waldo. Congrats, Crexin, on your win today, and Atomic Waldo, we're going to hope that we get you a win next week in your next matchup. Thanks so much to the two of you for sticking around to do the post-game interviews.
Can I give a shout out?
Yeah, for sure, as long as it's not inappropriate.
No, it's not. So shout out to my team, World Riders, and then League LFG server I'm in. Yeah, community server.
Great.
Cool. Nice to hear it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for being on, guys.
Sweet. I guess I think that's going to be it for today. Yeah, Okromancer, if you're comfortable, do you want to close us out for the last little bit here?
Yeah, I'll send us off. All right, this has been Prime Meta League. Thanks everybody for joining us. We just saw the first 3 matches of the league, and it's shaping up to be a good one. Head back here and same time next week for our second week of games. Thank you all for coming.
Thanks so much, everyone. Take care.